Hey everybody, welcome back to Terps Esports, live from College Park. My name is Lily.
And my name is Bree. Tonight, the Terps GC team is taking on Hagerstown Community College in the Grand Finals. Let's make sure we show Terps GC lots of support in the chat tonight.
Tonight's game will be a best of 5, meaning the first team to achieve 3 map wins will also win the series. In tonight's pre-show, we'll introduce you to the members of the team as well as take a look at their stats and describe their specific roles. We'll even get a chance to interview with the team's sentinel, Soap.
Before we jump into the game, let's start with the rules of your typical Valorant match. If you've never played the game before, Valorant is an objective-based FPS game where teams of 5 players compete in 2 12-round cycles against each other. The main objective of the game is to plant the spike, defend the spike, manage economies, and create strategic plans to dominate each round.
Tonight, like Bree mentioned, the Terps are going up against HCC, and the stakes could not be higher than they are tonight in the Grand Final series, so definitely make sure you guys stay till the very end to cheer on the Terps.
Now, it's time for us to introduce you to the members of the team. We are going to be taking a look at their stats as well as describing their specific roles.
Starting off strong, we have Savani as the team's duelist. Her job as a duelist is to take space for the rest of her team by winning those early round fights. She's got an ACS of 208, an ADR of 136, and a KD of 0.9. She is absolutely insane on Jet, especially with an operator in hand, and we saw her top frag a couple times in the studio last week, so I'm really hyped to see what she's able to bring tonight.
Next on the roster is the team's flex player, Davy Jones. She has the ability to pick nearly any agent, depending on the team's current composition. This gives the team tremendous versatility. She's got an ACS of 227, which is the highest of her team, an ADR of 147, and a KD of 1.2.
Next up, we have Carrots as the team's controller. As a controller, Carrots' main job is to hold down the fort on the defense, while also being ready to secure sites on attack. Where and when she decides to place her smokes will heavily influence the rounds, round after round throughout the whole series, and she has got an ACS of 209, an ADR of 137, and a KD of 1.1. She is especially strong on Omen, especially when looking at how she's able to use her utility.
As an initiator, the team is relying on Trace to use her utility in order to make fights more favorable. She also plays an important role in gathering information for the rest of the team to work off of. Last time we were in the studio with the GC Premier team, she had an amazing game, so I'm super excited to see what she's able to do tonight. She's coming in with an ACS of 187, an ADR of 121, and a KD of 1.2. But last but not least, our final player is Soap. She is a very important piece to this team, so let's take a closer look at her stats.
Certainly, so to close things out, let's talk about Soap. She is the team's sentinel, meaning that she is the group's defensive expert. Her role is to keep an eye on the other team's movement, as well as use her utility to make the team aware of any flanks. She is especially strong on that KJ role, and I love seeing her play KJ and just be so sneaky, especially on the attack. So she has got an ACS of 196, an ADR of 132, and a KD of 1.1. So please join me in welcoming Soap to the studio. Hi Soap, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, how are you feeling about tonight's match? You a little nervous at all?
Not really. I'm honestly very excited just to close out the season, hopefully with a win.
Yes, good to hear, good to hear. And speaking about tonight's match, what do you expect to see tonight? Are there any strategies that you or your team are really focusing on for tonight?
I think mostly just trying to communicate with each other, play together, make trades off each other, and just stick to our fundamentals and do all of the plays that we've been practicing all season.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me. And lastly, before I let you go, I want to ask, what has been your favorite memory from this season? What are you going to miss about being on this spring 2025 roster?
I think just all the growth that has happened for all of the players on our team. I think we really stuck it out and played a lot of hard teams, and we just learned a lot this season.
Yes, well, you guys have certainly come a long way, and I'm super excited to see you guys put on a show tonight. So best of luck. I'll let you get back to warming up and wish you the best of luck for tonight's match. And don't go anywhere. We're going to catch you guys right after a quick commercial break for map number 1.
And I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together. Everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Terp Adventures take flight at STAM. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body, feed your mind, feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform. Find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete. Play. With wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the Center for Campus Life, where Terp Adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us. This is the Center for Campus Life, where Terp Adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're about to head into map number 1 and we are in it for the long run tonight. Bree, potentially 5 maps lay before us. So
yeah, I mean, best of 3. I mean, I'm hoping we can do a 3-0 tonight. We're not quite sure what maps they're going to be playing tonight and what's on the ban per se. But I'm really hoping it's something that the Terps are really... Oh, well, actually, it looks like we're going to be going on to Ascent.
yeah, here we are on Ascent. The Terps are going to be starting this one off on the attack, which is not typically where you want to be starting Ascent. This tends to be a defensive-sided map, so they're going to have to really start this one strong. Because if they can come away this half on top with a slight score advantage, they should have no problem on the defense. All right, in terms of agent comps, things looking pretty normal on the Terps side. There is Arena, though, for HCC, so we'll see how the Terps are able to respond to that. Looks like they're starting things off by just slowly getting that mid control, not making a peep about it, using Trace's initiator utility there to clear out trees before the alarm bell is going to sound for HCC as Savani makes her way onto this A site, and comfortably so. There are no defenders on the site right now for HCC at all. They're backed up way into heaven.
I'm hoping that this retake doesn't go as smooth for them. Savani is just on Jet, by the way. I'm hoping that this is going to be a great map for her.
Yeah, Savani has been really good on this map because this is a long-range map in some instances. She peeks out into 3 flashed HCC players, able to come away with 1, but not the second. As Soap's trying to fight for her life outside to switch. The right click, though, does the trick. Not for long as Trace is left to fight for herself into hell. That only leaves Davy Jones in the face of a smoke. The bomb is not quite planted for her. She's got to push out, and that is going to do it for the Terps. Map number 1, or sorry, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Round number 1 goes to HCC.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is still, it's too early to tell. I mean, we're pretty good across the board. Everybody with having at least 1 kill here For the Terps, again, like you said earlier, before the or the game started, this is a pretty like generic comp here for the Terps. I mean, again, like you said, long range, peeking down mid. I mean, this Reyna here on HCC's side with an outlaw, I'm sure they're gonna go ahead and start peeking down mid. Last game, or at least the last time the Terps were in the studio, we did have a Reyna who was also crazy on an outlaw. So I'm hoping that nobody gets to peek this, or at least gets peeked off. Savani thankfully misses that shot by the Reyna on HCC's side.
Yeah, Savani, lucky she didn't take the high angle there and just did like a normal swing. That Reyna's crosshairs position for Savani to jump dash up there. But Savani will keep her head attached to her shoulders for now, as the Terps are still looking to cook up an attack that's looking very similar to the previous round. But the difference, though, is Davy Jones gets killed off the bat. Savani is there to equalize things. However, the Terps are going to have a bit of a problem taking this A site, as they're discovering as Tree is heavily defended with an outlaw. Now it's going to be placed into heaven. They've got to pick a different site, and they know that they're going to double back towards mid, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them hit B.
The slow push here by the Terps is a little, it's not something that they've usually done, but, again, on Ascent, it is a pretty difficult map to be on as an attacker's side. Trace is trying to wait for a little bit more information here as they're slowly backing onto mid, trying to go down through lamps over there. They might meet with this Sova here before they peek out. Thankfully, Carrot's there to save Trace. Trace is just low, 10 HP here. They're still trying to figure out which way to go. They're going more towards B site, about to walk out through door, and this Jet is ready to just push in and get that kill by Carrot. Trace is also 10 HP. I'm hoping that they won't get that pick there on Trace, but unfortunately they do. And that Reyna gets 3 kills that round on HCC's side.
Yeah, great round for HCC. They're just giving the Terps no options, like you said. Does not look like the slow push worked in their favor. As soon as Davy Jones got picked off, everything just kind of crumbled because of that outlaw. Essentially, when you buy that outlaw in round number 2, it's an operator. You gotta, treat it like an operator when you're peeking, when you're pushing. And that is really what made the difference for the Terps heading into a bye round, but up against a bonus, so they should have some gun advantage here.
Yeah, they should have some gun advantage here. I mean, they basically full bot, but I'm wondering if they're still going to go with this slow push, and it kind of looks like they do. I mean, they're peeking down through mid there, but this Reyna's getting a little sneaky, hiding in that smoke, waiting to see who's going to peek first. Savani does get caught there.
Yeah, just a dart being thrown mid. Doesn't catch any players, but it will be the Reyna who does, as they take down Carrots and get just dwindle down her HP even more. Although the Reyna doesn't have too much HP to work with either. The Terps, though, doing a just very similar execute here. So they're going to send Savani's Tree, which they have been doing round after round. Davy Jones in main, which happened the last round, and she ended up getting picked off there. But this time, with the Reyna at such low HP, only a couple shots would do it. They have the information of their positioning up near backside, thanks to Davy Jones's utility. And off of that, they're going to get the confidence to push in. Trace does, although she does get traded, which downs Spikes. But are the Hawks going to be aware of Soap's quiet lurk? It looks like they have some suspicion. Soap swings with a Vandal. She has the gun advantage there, but does not want to take any unnecessary fights. She's going to leave it up to Savani to take care of the rest of the stragglers who are going to walk in through heaven.
Savani is ready to get this headshot here on that Reyna. The Sova is going to be able to go ahead and throw in a dart, but thank goodness Savani gets that pick on that Reyna. I mean, that Reyna was able to get a good amount of the Terps out in the beginning of the round. Savani's both hiding down there in hell with just 8 bullets here.
And HCC has made their way onto the site, but Savani swings out of hell, finds a pick, and does a lot of damage, but she's getting flooded by players swarming her way. It's only going to leave Soap with, I don't think, an EKG utility on that bomb. She's forced to peek and play timing here. She finds the first kill and does not quite get the second, but what an effort from Soap.
What an unfortunate round here for the Terps. Actually, no, wow, okay, Soap gets an amazing clutch here, even without having to throw in that utility onto that, default plant there. I mean, it looks like that strat is starting to work a little better for the Terps. You know, Savani going tree, you know, waiting to walk up rafters and see if there's any, you know, any movement or anything, trying to figure out where that Reyna's positioned. But, you know, Davy Jones just being alone in main, trying to wait out and see, like, who's going to be peeking. But that Omen smoke on HCC's side kind of slows them down just a little bit. So they really have to rely on Savani getting some picks there through tree.
Yeah, and as soon as she got a pick or two, you know, the rest of that round was history, especially when you have Soap playing timing so brilliantly in that moment. For the first time, we're seeing a split push, though, from the Terps. Looks like it's about a 3-2 split. They're going to use Savani's knives here on this A side to just draw some attention their way. Doesn't work out, though, too well, as there is still a fair amount of defensiveness being on this B site right now. Smoke even thrown on the B site. So they may commit A here if Savani's able to get a pick or two.
I'm hoping she doesn't get caught by this Cypher trip, though, that's hiding there towards doors. I mean, they're trying to, you know, they're trying to get as much information as they can, trying to get out so Savani can go in and dash in and do whatever she needs to do to clear up some space for her team. She finds that Cypher cam relatively quickly. You know, she expects it to be there, but she gets smoked off yet again on HCC's side.
Yeah, the Terps still being really quiet. They're kind of forced into a slow push here. They don't have any information on this site up until Davy Jones throws that knife. Doesn't catch anybody, though, so they don't have much to work off of. But nonetheless, Savani's going to updraft dash onto this back site and sit in her spot there to watch Heaven and get hopefully a headshot with one of her knives there as Bomb's able to come down thanks to Trace. And Savani peeks out and does get that pick thanks to Davy Jones's flash. Beautiful pair of utility there, so the Terps just have to sit on this site and hold it down. It's harder than it sounds, though, as Soap gets picked off into tree, and this Reyna is just waiting to just wreak havoc in from tree, along with that Cypher, although Trace able to take care of that. But Trace does get traded. It's a 2v3, make that a 3v1 for Davy Jones to work out here, and it's a 4K from that Reyna, and you called it early on. That Reyna may be an issue for the Terps.
What an amazing round there for the Hawks, but pretty unfortunate for the Terps there. I mean, Savani was doing pretty good, you know, getting onto site and, you know, clearing up as much space as she could, but unfortunately, the Hawks are doing really good, doing, you know, retake, just either coming in through tree and coming in through Heaven at the same time. You know, I feel like playing Hell is a pretty obvious place to play, you know, especially when you're doing retake, so you really got to be on your toes there, but just an unfortunate round there for the Terps.
Got a couple ultimates charging. They have traces. They're not too far from a couple others, particularly Carrots. So those are some important ults to have on the attack side, as it looks like they're going to try something completely different this round and just overwhelm B site. They have their information. There's only one person on this B, or there's two people now. They're grouped together on site. Takes down Savani and Davy Jones eventually, and now the Terps are having problems on this B side. It looks a little bit better, though, as each of them are able to get a pick there. Carrots, Trace, Soap, all able to do their part, only leaving one defender left in CT as Bomb is going to get ticking, and the Terps should have a second round win if they play their cards right.
Soap's about to meet their Omen here on Hawk's side and gets that amazing headshot on that Omen. You know, it's starting to look like B side is more favorable, more towards for the Terps. You know, just getting in there, you know, seemed much easier and much more faster than, you know, compared to A side, because, you know, they're going in through mid, going in through rafters, and there's just so much to clear, especially when that Cypher is just hanging out and sitting in A. You never know what to expect with those trips.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing to consider is the Cypher going to switch up where they place their setup? You know, you never know. That's something that the Terps have to consider. Although they did have that success on the B side, they want to start this one off with almost a 5-person rush A main, it looks like. And they're going to use Davy Jones's ult to disengage all that Cypher utility that they just know is on this site. And just to make matters even worse for the Hawks, Davy Jones going to find that pick on the Cypher and find her way onto the site. So beautiful early round utility from Davy Jones, and Soap's lurk pays off too into mid, and suddenly everything is going right here for the Terps, and Davy Jones already having a phenomenal round as she was able to get an assist for Soap's kill as well.
What a beautiful execution here by the Terps. Savani here is also holding Heaven yet again. You know, if she doesn't you know, if she gets go of that crouch, she might get headshotted right off the bat. But thankfully, Carrots was able to get at least one more person there on Heaven, and Savani finishes off getting that off that Omen. And now all we have left here is that Jet. You know, Savani's gonna go ahead and peek that Jet. That Jet misses her knives and she finishes off the round, taking out that Jet. And it's looking up very, very good so far. I mean, we still are 3-3 right now. You know, this isn't, you know, this isn't over just yet, but I think that the Terps might have to go for an A-B, you know, strat here, because they don't want to use too much of their luck here on A. You know, A could be worked on just a little bit, and I'm really liking them going towards B, but, you know, Hawks, the Cypher on Hawks' side is really holding down A side.
Here. Yeah, that Cypher's been an issue for the Terps last couple rounds, but using that KO ultimate, they were able to dominate in that previous round, but they don't have that luxury this time. So how will they use what they have available to them coming into round number 7? Looks like Savani's going to do her thing, peek out into A main, but there is some focus on this B site right now from both sides, sending numbers over there. No push yet, but Savani hasn't really made contact on this A site, so they haven't done a good job at selling this fake, if that's what this is going to end up being. Now a couple shots being fired, though, so maybe that's going to draw in some rotates from the HCC side.
Yeah, I mean, Savani's just trying to make extra sure that at least, you know, she doesn't catch as much contact, or maybe she catches one of them, you know, out of, you know, just, you know, not in, I'm so sorry. Just trying to catch them off guard more so, but, you know, they try to make as much noise, and now they're rotating through spawn, trying to go back into B, where it looks like they're starting to favor it more, with only Jet on Hawk's side being by themselves on B side, and they're even retreating back. The Terps are already inside to B here. Trace is clearing out Boathouse here, trying to make sure that everything is nice and neat, and already is planting Spike, as the Hawks are starting to go down through CT, just getting ready to execute their push to do that retake, while Soap already puts down her ult. And Trace is trying to get more information going in through CT there, but we already have an ult being executed here by the Hawks, by the Sofa's Hawks, and they get 2 picks, 3 picks on Carrot, Savani, and Davy Jones, but Soap's able to get that trade off of that Omen there.
And Trace and Soap are working together here in Boathouse, but they're about to get overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of things, and that is what's starting to happen as bomb is being defused. Soap is left to push out there and does find a kill, but not for long was the Terps' success, and we have a very interesting game on our hands already, as that was a very close round, and things have been really neck and neck already. Hawks only 1 round up, so, you know, this is already a great game.
I feel like that was just a pretty unfortunate place to be stuck on B site, you know. Being stuck Boathouse when you have to look, you know, 2 different sides. People are coming in through lane, and people are jumping onto site, and people are coming in through stairs, you know. There's a lot to look at, and considering that plant spot was pretty, you know, helpful, I will say, but getting ambushed from both sides with those numbers on, you know, being lower on the Terp side and, you know, having more people on the Hawk side was very difficult there for the Terps to, you know, lock in.
Similar play call, it looks like, for the Terps, although they do have some more focus on mid than they have in the last previous rounds, and I almost wish that they took more space off of that, because mid is not being aggressively held by HCC. They do have that Sova that's jump peeking here and there, but other than that, they really could take advantage of this mid space if they so choose, but instead it looks like they're going to focus their efforts into tree yet again, and it's going to be reinforced by a Carrot smoke there, and some utility from Davy Jones. Savani is creeping up on this A site. She catches the Reyna off guard and almost the Omen, but that Judge just is so powerful from that range, and HCC responds off of those picks, but so do the Terps. Davy Jones, Carrots both finding their picks onto this A site. Bomb should be able to get planted, as the remaining 2 defenders there were B players.
I mean, we see HCC slowly creeping up on Heaven here. You know, they're trying to execute what they can and can't do here. But the Terps honestly have this all in luck. Now that Soap's able to finally put her mollies onto the bomb, and the Hawks are slowly starting to creep out of Heaven there. With the Jet finally going down and slowly creeping up, they know where the Terps are located now, most of them being in tree, while Carrots is trying to wrap around, going through Heaven. You know, Davy Jones gets that pick on that Sova, but unfortunately gets picked off by that Jet, and thankfully Davy Jones was there with 3 kills for that round, finishing it off for us.
Yeah, great post plant from UMD there. And that's really when they've been winning these rounds, is in their post plants. When they have enough time to get on site and adequately set up, they generally have a really, really strong post plant. It's only when, you know, they're able to get bombs down maybe, but they're rushing and they already don't have full site control, and what, you know, that's when things start to fall apart. However, they have just really ideal utility for these off-site post plants.
Yeah, I really think you're right, especially what you said last round. They really need to take more advantage of mid. You know, in the early rounds, it looked like, you know, the Hawks' Reyna was just holding down mid. But now that, you know, it's just this Sova here and they're slowly, like, starting to walk up through mid, it's going to look like it's the same play. But now that they know that Davy Jones is there, they're slowly going to start retreating back. But Savani is already so far up. Hopefully she can see this Cypher and gets that Cypher kill there and is able to take control of Tree and hopefully help Carrots here, trying to get in on through, you know, main. Savani just does stand on top of Jen there, trying to get a different angle while Soap gets that kill on that Sova down mid. You know, we're already starting to plant Spike here, so it's starting to look really good here for the Terps with, you know, 5 of us being alive and only 3 on the Hawk side.
Davy Jones and Soap holding down Tree, waiting for this Reyna, who's been such a problem for the Terps to push out. Finally, the Reyna pushes. Davy Jones answers, make that twice as Davy Jones holds down Tree for the Terps. It's only going to leave that Omen, who may just decide to save here, as things aren't looking great for HCC this round.
Savani with her go-to spot is slowly starting to creep down into heaven and slowly into CT. I'm hoping that they don't make eye contact, but I'm sure Savani's going to end up wrapping around, getting this kill on this Omen. But I think the Omen's just going to end up dying to Spike anyways, to just prevent, you know, any of our players getting that kills. But Savani sees him and it gets that kill. And just what an amazing round here for the Terps, leaving us to 4 and 5. We're still very close here, neck to neck.
Man, it is really the battle of Savani versus the Reyna for HCC, being the 2 duelists for their respective teams, and they certainly are playing the part, each of which are top fragging for their teams, and we are in a timeout that HCC took. So that's kind of interesting. I wasn't really expecting a timeout to come so early because the teams were so neck and neck here, but I think HCC believes that, no, we should be in the lead. Let's take a timeout, figure out how we can get in the lead, although things have been really close so far.
I was going to say, it's a little shaky here on the Terps, and, you know, I'm surprised, just as you, that Dusty didn't end up taking that, you know, timeout there to figure out, like, how to strengthen their A push, because their A push is very shaky, you know, with the way that they're starting to go in, but it is starting to fix itself just a little bit. But I do want to see more B pushes there. You know, there's a lot to clear out on B, but I feel like once Savani, like, dashes in and gets all that, you know, space for her team, and especially since the Cypher hasn't been taking advantage of B, you know, setting up there, I think it's a great place to take advantage of.
I agree, and the one time they did kind of 5-person rush B site, it worked out really well for them. The only times B hasn't seemed to work out is when they've kind of resorted to it off of a rotate. However, I think if they just full push, and even look at it right now, not a single person there, because they've been going A so many times, and maybe it's intentional from the Terps. Maybe they've conditioned this A site round after round in order for B to work out, you know, once every 5-6 rounds. And Savani's going to start this round off by making a lot of mid presence, trying to find her way into market. Dodges enough utility to do so, but the fight's not over for her. She's getting shot from CT and does lose that fight, but Trace is there to trade her out as the rest of the Terps kind of flooding in behind her in B main. Trace having a great round to find 2 for herself with the help of Davy Jones. And she's found herself a site, but she's got to fight for CT as this Reyna is about to swing out, but Trace, what a shot to find that Reyna's head. A beautiful one tap there just to give her some more confidence heading into this post plan, and it'll be Carrots who's going to clean up the rest. What an amazing round for the Terps after an HCC timeout.
All of the bodies on HCC's side just being there on CT just shows, like, you know, even though they were the ones that called the timeout, the Terps really locked in and took advantage of that, you know, quick timeout and just ran it down. I mean, you already saw how Savani was just running it down mid, even with that dart, like, just trying to get as much information as she can. She did unfortunately get picked off, but it didn't matter because her teammates were still there to help her out, and Savani's still doing pretty good with 10 kills there on the leaderboard. And I mean, it looks like HCC's Reyna is starting to slowly lose momentum as well.
Terps will head back to their trusted A site. It's met with a little bit more aggression from HCC this round. This Reyna's really aggressively holding that off angle. Soap gets that first pick though on the lurk, although she is the team's lurk player. So I think HCC has figured that out by now. They're going to send 1 or 2 more players into mid, but it will be the rest of the team who's flooding in from outside a tree here. Savani does win that fight into tree. Davy Jones is right behind her to find their way onto site when Trace is going to meet up with them from A main, and now the Terps have a completely free A site, and Soap getting 2 lurk picks, really, it makes such a difference. It doesn't seem like much because, you know, Soap's not in front of the team charging in. However, those lurk picks now in the late stage of this round matter so much, because this could have been a 3v5 if Soap hadn't gotten those 2 picks.
Yeah, it looks like the Hawks' Omen is just hanging out in Boathouse here. I'm not quite sure if they're, you know, lagged out or anything, or is just trying to, you know, maybe ult and get in some information, you know, but they only have a Bucky here, not unless they're going to just wait for the bomb to detonate. But Savani there was hanging on to heaven, as she does, you know, that's her go-to spot. It also looks like this Omen's starting to pull out the ultimate, trying to figure out whether or not where to TP, maybe to save that Bucky. I'm not quite sure here, but the Terps are spreading out as the bomb is already detonating. You know, I guess a save was just a good round here, you know, was a good tactic for HCC here, but it is also the last round before we swap. We're already 4-7 here at our swap.
Yeah, it is the last round of the half, and you know what that means? Ultimates galore. There are a lot on the board right now. HCC does have the slight advantage in numbers of ultimates, but the Terps have a lot of good ones. You know, that Reyna ultimate can be very so-so. I mean, the Reyna is top ranking, so gotta watch out for that. However, some of these ultimates that are in play have, I think, bigger implications for the round, and how will they be used this round? The Reyna gonna start out by pretty much insta-ulting, waiting for a pick to come their way. Terps are not going to give it to them, though, as the Terps are being really passive this round and waiting for the push that they know is coming after hearing that Reyna ultimate.
Yeah, it's just a waiting game here. I'm so scared for Savani here. Hopefully she doesn't get picked off by this Bucky, but unfortunately she does. Savani just can't get a break here with these judges and these Buckies. And then the Reyna slowly following, trying to get, you know, getting Soap out even after getting Omen. We are already 4-2 with our numbers here. We still have Bomb, but we still have 2 ultimates. You know, our Terps are just hanging out here in A main, trying to figure out, you know, whether it's best to execute it, even with this Cypher being here, and, you know, whether or not they should rotate or not. But this Reyna might end up finishing off our Terps here, just trying to take control of heaven. And now they know where both their, you know, both of our Terps are located here. They're both in main as they're slowly walking onto site, so all eyes are on main. Once they walk out of that smoke, it might be Rouse, but it isn't, thankfully, with Trace getting that pick on their Cypher. Can Carrot also get this pick on this Reyna on heaven? I mean, it's anybody's game. This is really intense, you know. Unfortunately, Trace does get picked off with that Sova ult here. You know, it's all up to Carrot to see if she can get at least one more, but unfortunately we did lose that round, leaving us to 5-7 for this half.
Hey, that's a great attack half. Like I said at the beginning of the map, if you're able to come on top on attack on Ascent, then you gotta kind of trust your defense at that point. This is typically a defensive sided map. You expect to get a big lead on the defense and say, okay, we just gotta get a couple rounds on attack here. But the Terps have reversed that, and they just have to hope that they have a strong defense and just trust in this map and the way it's set up to kind of favor their side to give them the 6 more round wins that they need.
Yeah, I think that's really just the strat for when you play Ascent. You know, you gotta get as much rounds as you can on attack and then, like, finish it off there on defender's side. So hopefully, you know, the Hawks don't do as hot here on attack. So we'll see how that goes. You know, they're favoring more towards A there on the Hawks side. You know, Carrot just trying to spray through that smoke to see, you know, if anybody's going to get caught in that fire there. But, I mean, it's looking pretty slow so far. They're just trying to wait and see, you know, who's going to make the first move and what info, you know, each player can relay onto their team here.
Some aggression from Savani off the bat, hits a crazy sheriff shot and is backing up, content with getting that one pick, downing Spike, and just gonna, you know, wait for the rest of her team to back her up on this site. And now they're just kind of waiting for HCC to make a move after losing a player, being a man down. You know, what are they gonna do next? It looks like they're positioned more or less in the same spot. They're still looking towards this A site. However, Savani and the rest of her team have repositioned to have eyes on this A entrance, and a smoke from Carrots is going to make that even more difficult from HCC.
With Davy Jones throwing that knife, they know where HCC is already positioned here. I mean, the Omen rotated all the way from B through spawn, just, you know, trying to help, you know, their other teammates here on HCC's side. And we got Davy Jones ready with this lineup here, ready to throw in that flash for them once they go in. And everybody's going in, and, you know, everybody's getting kills left and right. And Savani finishes it off, getting 3 kills that round with her Sheriff, by the way. What a crazy round there for the Terps, and things are just starting to finally look up for them.
Yeah, beautiful round from the Terps, especially Davy Jones. I would like to see how many assists she has. Because I bet you it's a lot, because she's able to get the picks, she's able to get the assists, and that is ultimately just what you want for Initiator, to be able to hit their shots when it matters, and get 12 assists as well to support the rest of the team. So she is having a phenomenal game as well, despite, you know, not being like top frag, not, you know, going in first all the time. It's those 12 assists that are really making a difference.
Yeah, you gotta love Davy Jones. I mean, that was like a 3-2-1 like flash kind of moment there once they, you know, all of the Hawks started going in. But as of right now, it looks like the Hawks are going towards B and a little bit through mid, you know, a little bit hesitant on mid there, it looks, you know. They're starting to walk in, and Soap already has a setup there on lane, so hopefully she can detonate those bombs before, you know, getting as much damage as she can as they start to fill in. But it looks like they're going more towards switch. Hopefully Soap is able to peek out and get these picks here on stairs. You know, the Hawks are pretty spread out right now, but Davy Jones gets a pick on that Omen, and then unfortunately gets a pick on Davy Jones and gets traded off. Our numbers are pretty even, and it's just trying to play it smart here.
Oh, but Davy Jones did so much HP damage, and you can tell with Trace and Carrots getting those picks. Trace even getting 3 just sitting in Boathouse, and that is going to be 3 more assists for Davy Jones. Just in that time, it was in damage. You know, you just had really good positioning in CT on site, and you could just wait until HCC flooded in, and the rest was history for the Terps. And I even kind of forgot for a moment that they patched this wall on B site.
Yeah.
And that is going to make the defense slightly harder, because you can no longer wall spam through that. But they seem to still have B on lock that round.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe like an Odin and like a Sova Dart there on B main there, but you know, now that it's patched, I guess, you know, it's not possible anymore. But we have a full rush on A site coming from the Hawks here. Savani running for her life, getting ready to post up and get in that pick, but you know, we're just throwing all that util there onto the Hawks, and they're just kind of contemplating whether or not, you know, they should still commit to that push, and you know, how they're going to execute this with all this utility. That Reyna's ready to throw out that blind there. We already have an Omen blind that got Savani here behind Jen, and you know, that Jet is playing the same play that Savani plays, getting on top of Jen, and Savani gets that Jet off. Hopefully she can get this Reyna, but unfortunately she doesn't. But I mean, our numbers are pretty low here. We're already 3-2 with Soap being locked out since they, you know, the Hawks ended up closing door. But I think, wow, unfortunately, wow, this Reyna's actually going pretty crazy with 3 kills on the board already. Hopefully they don't quite know where Soap is just yet, and Soap is able to get those picks. Gets 1, but unfortunately the Reyna finishes off with 4 kills that round.
Yeah, great round for that Reyna on the side of HCC, and they do have their ultimate ready to go yet again. However, the Terps still have a pretty comfortable lead right now. I think, you know, the Terps gotta be thinking, okay, we take care of this Reyna, and then like it comes a little bit easier as the Reyna's knocking on the door to 20 picks this game so far. However, you know, the rest of their team, HCC, is also just proved to be really strong as well. So job's not over, although it gets a little bit easier once you do pick off that Reyna. Savani's going to swing early and find that Omen to give the Terps the edge early on this round. And she's just looking for more people to peek out, though it's not going to happen, as that was the lurk for HCC, and the rest of them are scaling up towards this A site. And they have pretty much a free site with the exception of some KJ utility.
Yeah, and now they don't have any more smokes on their side to help them, try and capture site here. And that Reyna is just full on running in, trying to clear out that utility for the rest of their team to go ahead and flood in right behind them. We already have Spike planted here with 3 of our Terps just, hanging out here in trees. Savani's running in, dashing in, trying to get as much as, kills as she can. Soap gets picked under hell, and we're just the cleanup crew here. My goodness.
What a killer retake. Wow, Soap had a really strong retake there, and it was just like textbook from the Terps. That's exactly how you retake A site. And they just really, any hope HCC had of, okay, we won the last round, let's get our economy up, let's not let them get to double digits. It's got to be crushed. The Terps now 3 round wins away.
They planted Spike, and the Terps just rushed in. Like, Savani was just ready to go, dash through in that smoke. Everybody just got their picks, and they had enough time to even go gun shopping as they were just, diffusing the Spike. And it looks like we're doing pretty good. Savani and this Reyna both 17 and 17, and, just following right behind is Soap with that 16. And can we talk about Davy Jones' 18 assists? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and she is not done, although Savani does invest the knives. She does get killed pretty early on. That's gotta hurt for the Terps. It does look like HCC is kind of planning on defaulting. They know that KJ utility is going to be on A site, so they're going to kind of favor mid, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them try to flood in from market. However, they're kind of just grouping up right now, trying to sniff out some of this KJ utility. They're met with the alarm button. Soap swings out, but a Reyna blind to the face going to force her to back up, and she does get killed. That is going to lead to a full-scale A execute, especially with Davy Jones getting picked off, and this Reyna's already on a rampage.
I mean, that Reyna is going pretty crazy, and they're holding hands with their Jet there, and it's working out. They were able to get that pick on Trace there, but Carrot also just has to make sure that, can she make sure she gets these 3 last picks? I mean, with the Cypher ult, they're automatically going to be able to find out where she was located, but unfortunately, she TP'd too far out, and they were able to see where she ended up.
Yeah, it's been pretty back and forth, although look at the ultimate status we have going on with the Hawks having 3 online. The Terps don't have any quite yet. They're pretty close, just 1 away from that KJ ultimate. A couple away from having Sova's ultimate as well, although they are forced into a save round. So this is going to be a tough one for them to come away with a win with.
But I mean, the Terps are pretty good Deagle Demons. Savani still, has that, is able to get as much kills as she can with the Classic. I mean, they're forced to kind of just push up on B main here. Hopefully this, this Sova doesn't try and, get them both together at the same time. But now that they know that they're both there, and so does the Cypher, it might be wraps for the Terps here. They have no choice but to fall back with the limited guns that they have.
Yeah, and Soap did kick things off with a really nice Sheriff kill, and it gets that Reyna too. So that's a big sigh of relief right now for the Terps, as they're still kind of looking towards this B site, although it's all a fake right now because HCC is just running to A, and Soap is still posted up there and is not looking A main, but she's going to be calling to the rest of her team that she needs help here on this site that HCC have found themselves on.
The Jet's gonna do the same play that Savani did and kind of hide hell and get as much, as much space as she can, but unfortunately misses their knives there. And, the Terps are already just throwing in as much util in Tree. Tree looks like a death zone here for HCC. We have 3 of their teammates being half health, but unfortunately the Cypher does get a pick on Savani, and 2 of our Terps getting 2 more picks as well. I mean, sight seems pretty clear right now with both of HCC hiding there onto main. Hopefully Davy Jones can go ahead and get this Spike detonated, but unfortunately they weren't able to, as their Sova was able to get 3 picks that round for the Hawks side.
That was a really good save round for the Terps. They really gave HCC a run for their money. So Coach Dusty is going to take a timeout to just talk about how the Terps can have one last run here to close out map number 1. That's all they need. This has not been a game of runs. Things have been back and forth pretty much, with the exceptions of just a couple runs of 2, runs of 3 here and there, but there hasn't really been a clear team that's really been dominating, and that's what's made this first game so interesting and what Coach Dusty's got to be talking about right now.
I mean, from what I saw before we had that timeout, Savani had an op. I'm ready to see some clips here from Savani. I mean, peek down mid and it's over for you. But there's but Savani still can't catch a break with going against these duelists on these other teams. Like the last time we were in the studio, Savani was also going against a crazy Reyna as well, and that Reyna was pretty good with marshals and outlaws. But I mean, hey, can you really go? Can you really beat Savani when she's using an op? Like, let's be for real here.
Yeah, and I'm, now that you mention it, really shocked we have not seen her post out mid with an op yet, or outside of tree peeking into tiles. So yeah, I really hope she does keep this op and peek out into catwalk with it, because I've seen her stand in this exact place on a set and hit a couple clips.
Look at her, she's practicing.
She's ready to go. No, but all jokes aside, she's seriously crazy on that op. It looks like she may get a peek to come her way. No, the Cypher looked like just they were gonna go there, but no, Savani's just gonna have to wait patiently, or not so much, and rotate to a different site, as there is a lot of noise being made on B off the bat. It's gonna draw some rotates from the Terps. Although they've decided to cut noise and just kind of sit outside of this entrance and make UMD really consider if this is a fake or not. But UMD is really in a good position right now. If they can get some on the flank too, that would be even better. But they are closing in here on HCC's attack.
Yeah, HCC is just so grouped up there on B, just, waiting to see what else there is to do. They're waiting for the Terps to peek out through mid and probably front, cat and everything, but it's starting to look like they're already going ahead and pushing in with their jet already being towards stairs at this point. The Reyna's already ulted as well and gets a pick here on Soap, and Trace is unfortunately backed up onto Boathouse and gets picked off by the enemy Sova. I mean, Savani's still here to save the day, hopefully by, somebody walking upstairs and getting a headshot on her, but, with this position, she's kind of forced to just go ahead and push in as much as she can, and she gets that pick on that Reyna, thank goodness. And now this fight should be a little bit more easier for her, trying to get as much damage as she can, but I think it might just have to be a save round here for Savani.
Yeah, she is just gonna happily save this operator, and HCC did not know that operator was in play until the very end, because she held on to it for so long and just didn't fire it even through a smoke, even through anything, and she was just really waiting for a peek to come her way, and then now she's gonna keep it and just make HCC guess about where it's gonna be positioned into this next round. You would guess mid, but she might try to, now knowing that the other team knows that she has an op, she may head into A main and try to use it there.
That's really the strat there. You don't want to give away the fact that there's an op, so you're obviously not going to want to peek off of like the most obvious spots like an op would be. But honestly, would you have thought an op was hiding there in market as that Reyna peeked out through those stairs? Like, Savani's really strategic with this, but it looks like the Hawks won't be going to her site this time, as she's ready to go ahead and peek on through A main and get what she can get. But it looks like they're going to go ahead and push back into B yet again.
Yeah, I mean, B worked out for them really well last round, so they're looking to make the same thing happen again. And last round, Soap hit a really nasty sheriff shot, so she's looking to make that happen again. But with the smoke in her way, it's going to be difficult, and HCC has free reign here on B site really early on into this round. And now they're going to force UMD to just put on a retake with not great weapons here. They do have a lot of utility to work off of. They have a KO ultimate, but I don't think they're going to use it with such unideal weapons in hand. Although Davy Jones with a Bucky does a lot of damage and does get a kill. And the rest of the team is trying to help on this retake, and it's about to be a bloodbath here onto this B site with the Terps peeking in, but none of the peeks quite going their way. Savani still has this operator in her hands though, and she's looking to get some value out of it, if not anything else.
B main is just always a death zone here. Like every time you try and do retake, you know, HCC is really good. Oh, I forgot Davy Jones was even here, but Davy Jones got another pick there with that Bucky. I mean, that kill Davy Jones got there in B main was just crazy. You know, she just jumped up and just went ahead and used the Bucky. But we have Savani saving that op one more time, and I honestly think that's the best bet to do. And you know, I really think that she really needs to end up utilizing the, you know, her op, but the Hawks just aren't playing with it. It's like they kind of forgot that an op-in exists, but it looks like their safe place is just to go B. I mean, they force UMD to take such a, you know, aggressive like retake, and they post up really well on B side, so they know their strengths already.
And you hate to see it because Savani, this would have been beautiful if there was a peek out into A side, but it's just not going to go her way, and they're positioned on this B site yet again. And they're playing it very similarly to last round. They're being kind of quiet. And then all of a sudden, they just overwhelmed the site. This time there is a lot of KG utility into lane, which I hope Soap is going to use pretty shortly as the HCC starts flooding in. Trace getting a pick outside of CT though. It's going to, you know, hopefully make this presumably retake go a little bit more easier for them, as HCC has already found their way onto the site. Soap's positioning though is still unknown for the most part. Not for long though, as she does get killed. So does Carrots, and the Cypher ultimate is used for HCC, and trades are going back left and right. Savani, Davy Jones, the only two alive. Make that just Savani with a Vandal and a Dream, and 3 make that 2-player stand in her way, and a bomb that she's got to defuse, but it's the Reyna comes in from stairs who catches her off guard.
Yeah, it looked like Savani had to throw away that op for the sake of that round. I mean, it was honestly time. You just got to do it another round. We're already 11 and 10, and I think the op idea isn't going to be ideal for us. And, you know, because she saved, our economy's a little wonky here. You know, we do have to probably give up one more round. I mean, look at our buy here. I only have 2 Vandals, all of us using light shields actually, but you know, with some deagles as well. Davy Jones with that Bucky again. I mean, it's gonna be difficult considering this Reyna and Jet combo. They just, you know, this Reyna blinds really high, Jet dashes in, and Reyna blinds in again, and it's, you know, and it's history from there. Like, look, this Reyna's gonna go ahead and run in onto site with this Jet trying to take high ground. Reyna's trying to kill all of this utility for the rest of their team to go in. And, you know, we really just gotta make sure we can get that retake pretty well.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be another retake, and it's gonna have to be another one without good weapons. And the Terps are running out of rounds that they can just give up here. They're at a 1-round deficit at 11 to 10. Spike is taking down Carrots with the Vandal though, able to make some noise up into heaven, although she does get killed. Soap being a Deagle demon, excuse the technical difficulties and mind the suspense. We're down to a 1v1 with Trace and 1 player and a bomb to defuse, and she gets swung into. Unfortunately, that is going to put HCC at map number 1 point.
Yeah, I mean, HCC really got that pick there. You know, the Jet having 3 kills just that round, even but like tangoing there with Trace, even throwing in that shock dart, you know, it kind of condensed that Jet to go the other way, and unfortunately it caught Trace off guard, and just they were able to get that pick off of Trace. But you know, I feel like this could potentially still be winnable here. I'm surprised Coach Dusty isn't calling out for, you know, another timeout, and you know, we just got to do as much as we can here.
Yeah, it's got to be perfect here on out from the Terps. There is no room for mistakes, and their only hope here is overtime. No ultimates online for them, although they were able to buy up as a result of saving. Savani's going to peek out and get an early pick to down Spike. So is Carrots, and it's on that Reyna as well. So the Terps have started this crucial round off really well. They've backed HCC up all the way into their own spawn.
Yeah, the Terps are getting pretty aggro here. I mean, Carrots just jump peeking and just throwing, you know, shooting that Guardian to scare off this Sova, hopefully, you know. Now they're kind of thinking, like, is this the place to go to? Like, you know, what's the utility looking like on here? I mean, mid is still most definitely a possibility with this Jet, you know, starting to do a little bit of a rotate almost, just making sure nobody's lurking right behind the Hawks for, you know, this round here. But their Omen is starting to slowly peek in through mid, but not quite yet. Hasn't walked out of tiles just yet. But we have Savani there ready to take a shot on that Omen, you know. But it looks like what they're going to do for this round is this Omen's going to end up TPing to A right
30
after
seconds left.
their Jet and Sova, you know, lands some space there on A site.
Yeah, things are really calm, but it's just the calm before the storm, as HCC has got to make a site hit in 15 seconds. They might save here. Yeah, it's going to be a save because
10 seconds
they're not going to
left.
be able to get bombed down in time. And I'm honestly kind of shocked that they're saving because a 3v5 is kind of doable. You know, it's yeah, kind of, and it's such a crucial round too. But maybe knowing that, they want to make sure they have weapons into the nets, so they can stop the Terps from heading into overtime. But now, the Terps have kept 5 people alive. They have all the weapons they purchased in the last round. So this is going to be a really intense round.
Oh, I'm ready for it to go into OT. I mean, it's, you know, it looks like HCC called in a timeout there. I mean, what more is there to do here? You know, the Hawks only need one more round, but if the Terps get one more round, we're going to get thrown into OT there. And it's just going to be, you know, it might be a crazy back and forth. It might be a one and done situation there, but I'm hoping it's going to be a one and done situation for us. But, you know, they seem to get pretty taken aback with how the Terps were able to, you know, get their picks off on the beginning of that last round.
Yeah, and it just fell apart really quickly for HCC as soon as a couple of those early round picks went the Terps' way. And then almost a gift for the Terps is holding on to all their weapons and not having to fight to keep any of them. They have all their Vandals that they purchased, and it was a buy round when they bought them. So those were really high risk weapons in terms of the economy standpoint of things, but able to hold on to those makes this round really important. It makes it a little bit more doable for them now that they don't have to scrape together any, you know, Guardians, any Spectres. They have ideal guns, and they have Carrot's ultimate online as well.
So let's see how this goes. I mean, it looks like they're favoring B side, B to mid here a little bit. You know, Sova's going to throw in a dart. The Terps already know that they're going to start pushing it through here. That Reyna's starting to go ahead. You know, see, look at this Reyna and Jet starting to get ready to push in together. That Reyna's ulted, and it's anybody's game. Jet's already in on site there. Savani peeking out. It gets unfortunately picked off by that Omen there, sitting on switch. And now it looks like the Terps might have to go ahead and do a retake yet again. But Karis was thankfully able to get off that Jet. Now they just really have to worry about that Reyna here.
Oh, and 2 important picks from Carrots and Davy Jones back to back. Carrots still fighting into CT here. Gonna throw a flash and be aggressive, swing out. Not gonna catch anybody on the other side of that engagement. Just gonna slowly walk up to meet her teammate up into market. Sova ultimate and Reyna ultimate both invested for the Hawks in this must-win round for them. But Davy Jones getting a big, although she does get traded. Carrots gonna be aggressive, walk in from stairs and finds an insane pick, almost a second. Trace down to a crucial 1v1, and she wins it in just such cool, calm, and collected fashion to send us into overtime on map number 1.
What an amazing round there by the Terps. Wow. Holding my breath. That was so crazy. I mean, HCC is very aggressive when it comes to, you know, taking space on the site. I mean, I feel like you can figure out how the Hawks are starting to play on B site there. You know, they're really holding their ground, but I don't know if you saw, but Davy Jones threw in a flash over switch onto B site. So I'm hoping that was able to, like, you know, blind them just a little bit and like them reconvene and make sure that they weren't vulnerable. But nonetheless, we're doing pretty good so far.
Davy Jones, 20 assists, just such a huge team player, and has some really crazy flash lineups that are certainly helping out the rest of her team, like you mentioned. And here we are in an even playing field into overtime. Economy standardized, ultimates taken off the board, so really like a 0-0 scoreline here, although much more high stakes. So it looks like the Terps, as they're back on the attack side, gonna creep in outside of A main. The Cypher utility set up kind of passively on site, although they do have a smoke in their face now that they're creeping into. It's Savani activating that dash. Looks like she has some intentions of dashing forward, and she does into her own smoke and is about to peek out and kill that Cypher to give the Terps more site control here. And what a beautiful way to start off OT round number 1.
Thankfully, thank goodness Savani wasn't in tree that time. I mean, she was able to get that crazy pick on that Cypher. And here she is holding Heaven again, you know, her go-to spot, just trying to see if she can get a little bit of some headshots here coming down from Hell. We have Soap, you know, starting to take on tree. I don't think Hawks quite know that Soap is there, but now they do, and she gets 2 more picks, both on that Jet and on that Omen. Unfortunately, Savani does get picked off in the process, but Davy Jones, you know, gets it by getting their Reyna, and what a beautiful round here for the Terps. It's starting to look up for us.
And another thing about the Terps right now is they have all the momentum. They just fought for their lives to be in overtime, landed a 1v1 thanks to Trace, and now they won round number 1 of overtime. So they've got to be fired up right now. They've got to have all the momentum on their side here. They've just got to win the defensive side of things to win map number 1, and they're going to really play this one strategically.
We just honestly need one more round here. We're so crazy across the board. 21, 21, 17, 16, and 16. I mean, the Terps are just amazing with their teamwork here. Carrots gets caught by that dart, but has to retreat back, and it looks like the Terps are just going to have to play retake again on B. But this is no surprise for them, and I'm sure that they can hold it down as they did, you know, the last few rounds. But unfortunately, Davy Jones does get picked off by that Cypher there, as, you know, HCC is starting to plant, but now it's trying to see, you know, where these Hawks are going to start holding.
Terps numbers down and bomb is planted. This is not a great position for them to be in. Carrots trying to make this retake work, throws a blind in and looks into garage and peeks out onto stairs, does find a kill, and she's found herself with a little bit more space to work off of here. She's got to watch 2 angles, and that is going to be an issue for Carrots and the rest of her team. And we're in round number 2 of overtime. And this is this really fun way to start off a best of 5 is to head into overtime and have it be so neck and neck right off the bat.
It's just wash, rinse, and repeat at this point right now. But I mean, again, we can't lose that momentum. We were still able to get, you know, the first round of OT. Like, that's something that we should be, you know, working on, the energy that we should be really working off of. And I feel like just the strat here is to just honestly hold down, you know, those attacks from the Terps. Savani starting to go ahead and dash in onto Switch, close that door hopefully, and is, you know, maybe gonna head in straight through CT, but is trying to clear out the site to make sure that her teammates can get a clear plant to site, you know, clear site to plant onto. I'm hoping that the Terps don't get constricted on the boathouse, because that seemed like it didn't really work for them the last few rounds. But I mean, the Hawks look like they're trying to be very strategic with how they're gonna go ahead and peek out onto the site here. They're kind of contained to CT and Market, but you know, they're starting to walk in, and Trace gets that pick on that Reyna. Soap gets a pick on, you know, we're doing really good. We're already numbers down. My goodness, everybody's dropping like flies on the Hawks here, and Davy Jones finishes it off, getting on that Omen on the Hawks side.
Yeah, a second really strong attack round in overtime for UMD, but they are just hoping they can pull it together on the defense. It has been just a showing on this B site these last couple of overtime rounds, but this time it looks like the Hawks are going to switch it up and try and attack this A site. I really like Savani's positioning here, and I really like that Soap is setting up some of those KJ mollies, that KJ alarm bot there up in tree. However, it does look like the Terps are kind of betting on this being more of a B-sided hit, just based on their positioning.
They automatically smoked Savani off down mid there. They expected somebody to be watching there, but they're not. It doesn't look like the Hawks are going to end up, you know, committing to walking through Cat, but more so slow pushing through A. And I'm not quite sure if they know that Soap is just waiting there, you know, to detonate all of her utility and for them to get caught by it just yet. But they're already in on our site here, and Savani, you know, it's just looking pretty crazy right now. And Soap is there to get 2 kills, maybe another one. Unfortunately.
Soap almost for 3. That was almost huge for Soap, but it was great as she was able to get 2 picks and make that Soap is so low. But the job is not done for the Terps. It's 3v3. HP is in the Terps' favor right now, but time is not. They're gonna have to use this utility to buy them a little bit more space up into heaven, where Carrot's gonna try and maybe throw that flash and swing off of it. Davy Jones is met on the losing side of that fight, and it's just another defensive round that the Terps can't quite close out. We're headed into round number 3 of overtime.
Wash, rinse, and repeat, guys. Back to the drawing board, but that's okay because, you know, the Terps are doing pretty good when it comes to attacking. They just really need to work on their defense side, which is a little, you know, interesting for us Terps here because I really feel like with Soap holding down A, it seems to be, you know, pretty good, but it looks like we have another timeout, and, you know, for both coaches, they've really got to figure out, you know, what's working for them, how to prevent, you know, going back and forth here. Coach Dusty just trying to figure out, you know, how can the Terps, you know, work on their, you know, try and improve how to defend well and even retake properly.
Yeah, man, it's been the whole game has been back and forth, and it really shows once it's in overtime. And you know, it's one side is better, one team's better on one side, and it gets so obvious here in overtime when, you know, you see the same play calls not work out, the same side executes, you know, just and we have intense music back in the studio for such an intense map number 1. Can you believe this is only map number 1? And look at this scoreboard. 25 picks for Soap. She's having an amazing game. 28 for the Reina on HCC. Man, whoever's going to win this map number 1 is going to have to fight for it.
I mean, the Terps are ready to go in through B here. That Sova's already getting caught by all this util and has no choice but to hide in these smokes. And Savani Davy Jones actually ends up getting that pick on the Sova there, and they're just trying to make sure that site is clear yet again. You know, it seems like B site is a pretty good site for the Terps to take in. Now it all depends on how they're going to hold it down. Savani's smoking off to make sure that, you know, our Sova doesn't get picked off here, and just trying to make sure that, you know, nobody gets, you know, unfortunately gets picked off. But Soap was able to get that jet lurk, and now it's just time to, you know, get those picks off.
And the Terps yet again having a really strong attack half, although they kind of their numbers are starting to dwindle, especially with Soap getting picked off out into market. Bomb is taking, so Davy Jones and Trace here just gonna have to buy as much time as they possibly can. They only have 1 more player left to kill, and the Cypher's at really low HP, so if they double swing it, shouldn't be a problem with Bomb already being taken down beyond repair. And it's gonna be another attack round that the Terps are able to execute. But now comes the real challenge here. Are we gonna be able to hold it down on defense?
I mean, it looks like both sides are struggling to do defense just a little bit. I mean, HCC, you know, seems to struggle as the Terps are just flooding all into sight, but so are we. So we really gotta make sure that we hold it down. I mean, there's just so much we could do. It looks like Soap's starting to set up on B, which I think is a pretty, you know, good call, but it just doesn't look like the Hawks are going to end up going there. We only have just Carrots hanging out on A, and Carrots has to retreat back since they're all just going to full push, and there's no util preventing them from just flying in.
Yeah, although it has been a B hit the last couple overtime rounds on the Hawks attack. That's why Soap set up there, although this time it was a 5-person A rush and bombs planted for the Hawks. And now it's up to the Terps here to work out a retake here. No ultimates online, which they would certainly like to have had right now. Instead, they've just got to work with the utility they have and work off of each other in peeking these angles.
We got 2 of the Hawks holding down Hell, so it's really just anybody's game if, you know, Davy Jones and Soap decides to jump down from heaven, but they unfortunately get picked off and our numbers are dwindling. But now we're 2-2 with, you know, trying to get the bomb detonated here is already difficult enough, but Soap gets that pick on that Cypher, but you know, we still have a bomb to defuse. Hopefully she could go ahead and still get that bomb to defuse, but
it's not quite enough time. Oh my goodness, you can see it on her face. She really fought to get on that site. Those were some crazy picks of her. She got that pick up into heaven, dropped and took a gamble on Hell and just hit that shot, but could not get on that bomb at the right time. And overtime's just gonna keep on chugging here onto map number 1. Wow.
Wow, we are back at it again, and it just looks like we're both struggling to defend properly. I mean, Dusty knows that we have the momentum to keep going and that we're capable of just winning, but I feel like what's really holding us back is 1, retake, 2, having to defend, you know, defuse the bomb. Like, that was 2 seconds right there. If Carrots had gotten those kills like 2 seconds earlier, we could have been really close to getting in that map there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gotta be a mental block at this point. Like, you know, because the Terps are doing so well on the attack, and that's typically the harder side on this map. So honestly, I think part of it is gotta be just like, okay, how do we just go back to the fundamentals here? How do we really be patient on the defense? How do we, you know, guess what site they're going to? Because I think having that Soap setup there on KJ would have really bought them a lot of valuable time on B site. However, things are just not quite going their way yet, and Soap is knocking on the door to 30 kills. The Rain has already achieved 30 kills, and man, this is just really intense game at a scoreline of 15-15.
I'm scared that Reina is just holding down boat there, but thankfully the Terps don't look like they're gonna end up committing to B at all anytime soon. But we do have 3 of our Terps just hang out in mid, you know. But this A push is starting to look a little, you know, they have the Cypher hanging out there, the Jet hanging out in tree. Savani is about to make contact with that Jet, but thankfully the Jet goes and runs back and, you know, for cover here, and Savani's already on site. She knows where these people are located. Hopefully she can get that pick on that Cypher, and, you know, Trace is there to help her, but what about Hell? You know, I'm hoping she gets this Omen here on Hell. She knows somebody's there.
Oh, the reload is at the worst time possible, but the team is there to back her up, although they've got to worry about Heaven, and they don't want to end up losing the attack round. It's all up to Soap, who's had a phenomenal game thus far, but this is what it matters the absolute most. She does not have spike control. She's able to throw down her turret, though, and keep an eye on that angle, but she's going to have to fight for any control of that spawn to be able to get it planted. And thank goodness there's no Sova ultimate online, but will she plant the bomb, or will she decide to push? Looks like she is going to choose the latter and try to push out a little bit, although the Sova does not want to give her much, so she's going to rely on getting that bomb down and positioning herself for a sneaky post plant.
I mean, there's really no other way for her to go. Either go Hell or just keep that eye out there. Oh, unfortunately misses her molly there trying to get onto that Sova. But, you know, it's either go Hell or just get this pick. And this Sova knows where she's going since she unfortunately got caught by that scan. Like, all you can do is wrap around and play games with the Sova, and they're both just itching to see one another and get that pick already. And thank God Soap gets that pick on that Sova. Oh my goodness.
Wow, that was a nail biter. I really okay. I like how Soap did not panic, because personally I missed that molly. I'm panicking. Yeah. However, I really like that she did not panic. She missed the molly, ran into Hell, and then I would have also panicked because that's the scam got her on her way into Hell. But she was able to really sneakily creep out of Hell and back behind Jen and just remind herself that no, it's the Sova's job to push me. The time is ticking down for them, and that is what won her that really crucial round.
No, those were crazy mind games there. Wow, okay, it already looks like the Hawks are starting a full push onto B. Jet's already on site, you know, hanging out on Switch and is about to wrap around onto stairs, and we always have Trace that's so backed up onto Boathouse here. Hopefully they can, you know, prevent getting pushed by the Hawks here. You know, that, oh my god, caught off guard there, and Trace was able to get that pick, but does she know that Jet is also hanging out there? Gets another pick on that Sova, and our numbers are looking pretty even so far, but unfortunately Jet does pick off Trace, and now it's just up to both of, you know, Davy Jones and Carrots to just lock this in for us.
Trace did a really good job into Boathouse, but the job is not done. Carrots trying to fend for herself on this site. What a flick from Carrots to keep the Terps' dreams of winning map number 1 alive here. Bomb is planted though, so she's gonna have to work alongside with Davy Jones. Both of these Hawks are positioned onto this site, one of which is Boathouse, one of which is right beneath lane. Garrett's gonna peek out and unfortunately does get killed. It's all up to Davy Jones to win map number 1 here in overtime number 4. So Davy Jones gonna just walk up into lane and cannot quite get that win. And we are heading into another round. I saw like a broken record, another round of overtime. I think in my couple years of casting, this is the longest map we've had in the history of when I've been here, which is a couple years, 16 to 16. Craziness.
Whoa. I feel like we need a timeout, like just a little bit of a breather, because that, keep in mind, that was a dynamic duo there. Both, you know, the Reyna and the Jett have been holding hands for a while, you know, just running into sight, and they always, you know, do it well when they execute it together. But, you know, we have Davy Jones throwing in that knife, and Savani is ready to dash in and into her smoke, you know, but unfortunately gets picked off by that Omen. That Omen expected her to go ahead and, you know, hang out and switch there, and now it's just a matter of getting plant down here.
Oh no, the attack is not working out for UMD as it has been so beautifully in the last couple of rounds of overtime. Instead, Soap is faced in a 1v4 and she's getting read out by the Sova dart, so it's looking really dire for Soap, but she's just gotta try. There's no point in not trying. She peeks out in the high-low is what is gonna get her, and the Terps gotta be sweating a little bit. They've typically relied on winning that attack round, and kind of they've been letting up in the defense, but this time they've got to have a perfect defense here if they want to set it into a 6th round of overtime.
I mean, again, if they, you know, I feel like it's okay if they, you know, don't quite make this round, and you know, we get onto the second map. There's like 4 other maps, you know, that we can lock in, but it's just a bunch of back and forth yet again. And you know, this is Soap and Trace's spot is just hanging out in Boathouse, but unfortunately it looks like Hawks are already just jumping in onto site again. That dynamic duo with that Reyna and that Jett, they know Savani's hiding there, so Savani has to dash and take cover, and Carrots was able to get that Jett, but then the Reyna was able to trade for them and get Carrots instead, and it's just a bloodbath here on A site. But our numbers are still really good. We're 4-3 right now, and it looks like the Hawks are having, you know, have no choice but to retreat back. And where did this Cypher come from? Soap was just able to just get this Cypher off guard here, and now we're looking pretty good to, you know, clutching in this round.
Yeah, suddenly the Terps look great on defense. Soap and Savani both getting some really crucial picks there. Savani and Hell, and Soap peeking out there outside a tree. But man, they've kind of made HCC kind of at a stalemate here. And Savani just has incredible game sense to shoot through that smoke, and she's hunting for the deadly blow there into A main, and now she can calm the rest of her team that they know where the Sova is, and things are looking really great for them as they do have control of the spike.
Savani was ready to get another pick there, knowing that the Sova was hanging out in A main. I mean, that smoke kill on that Omen, just wow. Again, like you said, amazing game sense, but it's now up to the Sova to see if they can get that 4 kills or get this bomb planted, but thankfully Soap finishes it off.
Oh my goodness. So it's when the Terps lose their attack round, they're able to pull off a win on the defense. Okay, Terps gotta look at what went right on that defense round. What can we bring into this next defense round? Assuming we win the attack, that's gonna help us close out map number 1 and prevent it from going on for the equivalent of 2 maps. But man, 17 to 17. Every single player on the Terps side has over 20 kills or over. That is insane. And Davy Jones is knocking on the door of 30 assists.
26 and counting, by the way. Savani's starting to slow push up to mid. Hopefully this Reyna doesn't peek out and, you know, catch them off guard. But, you know, they're starting to, you know, figure out that the Terps are slowly pushing up through mid. We have the Jett staring right at Savani, ready to shoot. Hopefully, you know, that doesn't get them. And we're just trying to get some dominance here onto Tree, but unfortunately we don't. We do lose three of our players, and we already have two of our Terps just hanging out, and they're still in A main with our bomb down, by the way, so it's not a good look for the Terps so far.
Man, it's looking rough again on the attack for the Terps. Carrot's just giving the Terps some hope, but not for long, as she does get killed. And it's just Trace here into A main to try and give the Terps an edge here once they transition to the defensive side of overtime. They're able to win the last defensive side, but kind of narrowly. And now it's just Trace here, just trying to get a pick or two, and does not have bomb control either. And his location is sold out by the scan as well, but she's just trying to keep on walking up into Tree, and she does get killed, and that's gonna make the Terps have to be flawless again on their defense.
Match point.
Just, you know, I feel like we just gotta lock it down on defense. Just lock it down. It's just an unfortunate attack side for us. I mean, I feel like there really wasn't much for Trace to do there. I mean, it was either plant the bomb or get all 4 kills within those like 30 seconds maybe that was left over. And that Reyna, since that Reyna already knew that Trace was heading into Tree, blind was already out. So there wasn't quite much to do there. And, you know, the most we can do is just lock into this last round here and just hopefully, I mean, it looks like it's going to be more favorable from B side here. And I know since, you know, we have Soap just hanging on to, you know, Boathouse, and Trace is slowly going to start to retreat to Boathouse, hopefully later on, you know, B is well taken care of, but it looks like they're going to go mid instead.
Yeah, surprising play call from HCC. We haven't really seen this on their attack much, but this Reyna is so deep into mid here. Almost can just have unexpected positioning to catch any Terps on this flank, although it's not going to quite happen yet. The Terps being really patient on their respective sites, and I like that Soap has not picked up her KJ utility. She's just waiting because they don't really have much information right now to really make a decision off of.
This Reyna is just really being slow and very strategic with how they're going to play. I mean, they know Cypher's mid now, but they haven't quite, you know, chosen where to go yet. The Terps are already starting to push up through A main, but now that, you know, Sova is going in and we already have the 2 duelists just basically on site at this point, the Terps gotta hurry up and go ahead and play retake, and unfortunately that Cypher does get a pick on Trace in the meantime.
Alright, the Terps have got to pull off a killer retake here. As bomb does get planted, Davy Jones starts off the retake, finding a pick on that Cypher. Davy Jones does get killed, though, by that Reyna, who's waiting on the other side of that door. Carrots does respond, though, and that's going to leave Soap with a little bit more room to work off of. So it's all up to Soap, Trace, and Carrots here.
2 of them holding down on Boathouse, but Soap was able to get one of them. Do they know that there's one more hanging out there? You know, both Savani and Soap are looking both ways, and they get the pick.
Wow.
And wow.
Oh, wow. I'm honestly kind of speechless. Honestly, a little bit. They look so locked in still. I don't know how. But they are ready to win this game. At this point, it's gonna hurt if either of the teams, whichever team ends up losing the map number 1.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt after fighting for this long. And I just, oh my goodness, I would hate to see the Terps lose this map.
I'm hoping the momentum doesn't get all used up on just this OT here. I mean, it's anybody's game yet again, and let's look at the scoreboard. Wow, the Hawks' Reyna going 39
Oh
by
my
the
goodness.
way. Like,
almost a 40 bomb. Craziness.
I mean, hey, I think this is gonna be fine. Again, we're pretty good at our attack, so we gotta just full rush in and hope for the best and catch the Hawks off guard here. But it's looking like we're gonna do a little bit of a default, a little bit of a split. I mean, the Hawks are also pretty spread out too, so they're just trying to see who's where and where's what. But they know Savani's hanging down, you know, hanging out in mid, and here comes Tree. Tree seems to be our best suit. We're able to clear out Tree, but you know, the Jet seems to be a little farther back and trying to catch us maybe a little bit unexpected, and you know, But we're choosing to fall back, and we're retreating back onto Cat and just waiting till mid. We don't want to execute any entries or any fights just yet. Hopefully Savani knows that the Sova is here and whips her head to the right, but unfortunately doesn't.
Oh no, Savani did not quite check that corner. She's going to pay for it. At least Davy Jones is there to get that trade. But she did take a fair bit of damage. Terps haven't really taken any space on any site yet. It does look like most of their bets are going to be placed onto B site. But Soap may just have a really good lurk on this Reyna here. But she's being really quiet about it and does find a kill on that Reyna. That is huge. And look at how the rest of their team is responding. They're going to help her out actually back and double back on this A site, which I really like because I don't know if HCC would have expected that, and they're caught completely out of position. So the Terps should be able to get this bomb down no problem, and this peek might come as a gift to Carrots as she does find a pig. Almost could get two there as the Terps are left in a 3v1 with that spike ticking.
Wow, that was so... Wow, what a round here. We have this Omen just hanging out with an Odin, by the way. Odin in heaven, and this Omen could get as much damage as they want, but keep in mind they also have to defuse this spike, and they're clearing out sight, clearing out hell, but they're getting hit with all this utility, and the Terps know where this Omen is hanging out from, so they're all just keeping their eyes out, and there's no choice, and Soap finishes it off, killing off that Omen there. Wow, what an amazing... I want to applaud Soap for that. Soap was like reading minds there. Like, she saw all the trips there on site, and while looking at a trip, just straight up headshot that Reyna, and then getting that Cypher camp out the way, like, while all in the middle while just throwing in mollies and just making sure that her team is able to assist her at the same time. What a crazy game for Soap. Look at her, 36 and 20 already. 27 assists, by the way, by Davy Jones, not to mention. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, Soap having a great game, and she has really been like a key here in overtime. Now that the Terps have transitioned to the defense, they are posted up on this A site with 3 defenders here, just waiting for this HCC attack to come through. There's a quick attack here, but Carrots is there to hold down sight, but she does get killed, so does Savani. That is going to give the Terps a numbers disadvantage here. They're going to have to fight to get back onto the site. Bomb is planted. Davy Jones just trying to walk in slowly from heaven. She suspects that there's someone holding her, and she would be correct because of that Reyna position ready to find her head there. Tracy on the flank, though, does get a kill. That's going to help out the Terps and kind of divert some of the attention off of heaven and to main, giving Davy Jones a little bit more room to work with.
I mean, this Reyna's very adamant on getting this, getting us there. Soap was able to actually get that Reyna and get... What is happening, guys? I'm just speechless. Amazing.
Wow. That is crazy. Map number 1, scoreline. 18 HCC to 20 from the Terps. Holy moly. Yeah, we all need a breather after that one, so I'm not going to waste any time to head into commercial break. We will catch you guys for map number 2 shortly.
Terp Adventures take flight at STAM. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body, feed your mind, feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform. Find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete, play, with wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM, This is the center for campus life, where Terp adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
And I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Your ad tech stack is simple, streamlined, and easy to manage, right? Yeah, right. If you're in ad tech, then you know you have a problem. Ad tech is messy, and your tech stack includes way too many tools to effectively manage. At Playwire, we're here to uncomplicate your ad tech stack. We've consolidated the entire publisher ad tech stack into a single platform and added in proprietary technology and advanced tools to generate you even higher CPMs. Get access to an ad tech stack that is simpler and smarter.
I'm Greg, also known as Sind, and I'm an initiator player for the Valorant Premier Team.
I'm Kazu, and I go by NJV, and I'm the coach for the team.
I'm Richard, and I go by Pickle Richard, and I'm the duelist player.
Pretty fun. I definitely liked all the guys I was playing with. It's fun to get in the server with them. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge balancing it with other things, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something that I enjoy doing a lot.
Yeah, making like all the friends that we made through this team, so it really makes me happy. So it's like really awesome that we did this.
Yeah, I think I had really fun times on this team. I played well every single game.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I think my favorite moment was map 5. I think that was a really fun match.
The
Yeah.
grand finals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
the
was
grand
fun.
final. Yeah.
Remember what map it was?
I don't remember that.
Sunset.
Oh, it was Sunset. Yeah,
Sunset.
Yeah.
And you played Raze.
Yeah, I played Raze.
Yeah, no, that map was really intense. Like, it was super, super hard. The pressure was definitely on. Like, it was super late at night. It was like midnight or
It
something.
was very late. It was really
1 a.m. or
like my favorite one was probably the first match of the season.
Oh yeah,
First time in the studio together.
Oh,
That
in the
was
studio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. It
That
was
was
like
fun.
fun seeing all the Academy boys in the studio. So that was sick. Yeah.
My personal goal is I think I'm gonna try to hit Radiant this season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. It's,
Yeah.
I think it's definitely to win Big Ten right now, and then place top 8 in CVAL. That's our goal.
Top 8 CVAL.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big Ten is definitely the thing I'm most interested in seeing.
Mhm.
I'm not flying out, but hopefully, or the boys do well over
Hopefully
it.
we win.
Where is it?
I-
OSU? Ohio
Yeah,
State?
in Ohio.
Ohio.
I promise at least second place.
At least
At least
second place? I think we can win it.
I think we can win it too.
I think we can.
We gotta
win
be
Big Ten.
humble.
Everyone, yeah, we just we can't get complacent.
Can't get
Yeah.
complacent. Never that.
That's a good one.
Go ahead.
Honestly, like unironically, I think Kazu is a very fun person to have in the program as like an emotional leader. Even though he doesn't always sometimes things can get a little disorganized with Kazu at the helm.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
for as much flack as we give him for being terrible at the game, he's actually
Yeah, if you watch our
He's
games
actually a very
while I play, you'll be surprised. Like, I hear House is the guy my coach a lot.
Yeah.
Like a weird amount of time.
but I think Kazu's a great addition for him. I love that.
Yeah, I love
He's
how
great.
You love Valorant.
he's very wholesome.
He is very awesome.
Wholesome.
Yeah.
He's radiant. Remember that.
I'm ready to remember that.
Yeah, and his timeouts have improved a lot too. As someone who's seen him coach over the last like 2.5 years.
Yeah, I
Your
coached him
old
for a while.
timeouts were
Yeah, that was when I was
great.
a little baby boy coach.
Yeah, but now you've improved a lot.
Yeah.
I really like having you as coach.
Thank you, Gregory. Wow, this is great. You should do this more often.
That's the most praise you've ever heard.
He got an ego boost for free today.
That was awesome.
Hey guys, welcome back after a almost historic map number 1. I just was told actually by our lovely director CJ that was almost the longest Valorant match we've had in the studio, if you can believe it. The longest scoreline was 18 to 20 or 19 to 21. So we were one round of overtime away from achieving a record there. But wow, at least the Terps came away with a win there. The vibes in the studio were great when we were out there.
I mean, I'm so excited to see like what map they go into next. I'm not quite sure which one just yet, but I am just, whoa, that was such a, I'm gonna be honest, that was such a great performance from both the Hawks and the Terps. I mean, everybody was pretty consistent across the boards. We had people going 30. I think maybe one person went 40. I don't quite remember, but everybody was up there, 20 plus kills. Like Davy Jones with what, 26 assists was it? I don't quite remember. But we had a bunch of assists, hella assists going on, and just hopefully there is no OT and we can just do a clean sweep for these next few maps.
Yeah, hopefully no more funny business from either team in terms of overtime. Hoping to see, like you said, I feel like a referee in wrestling. I want to see a clean fight, like a clean you know, like sweep for the Terps, hopefully, to close it out in 3, we're hoping. But man, what a game. And you know, in the studio, they were like laughing, and there was also just a big sigh of relief from everybody. Like, oh my gosh, like thank goodness we actually won that map number 1, because could you imagine coming all that way and losing?
Oh my goodness, I could not have imagined. Like everybody would we would win a round, and then we would lose, and then everybody would lock back in, and then win a round, hopes are high up again, lose, lock back in, and it was just constant cycle. But in the end, it doesn't matter. We locked in, and just what an amazing map. Oh my goodness, Ascent, my beloved.
Ascent is a great map.
No,
I'm so happy
is.
it's back in the map pool, because it wasn't for a minute. It's like, guys, like I know we're trying to like keep it interesting, but like it's such a good map. Like, why are we?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember like what's out of the map pool. Do you know what's out of the map pool as of right now?
They changed it really recently.
Right.
I thought Icebox was in there recently, but I don't
Icebox,
know if
my
it's back. I love Icebox.
I
I'm
love
here for
Icebox. Icebox before they put like all the, I think they, what did they take off? You couldn't jump on top of something. Like I think one of the boxes aren't wall bangable anymore, and they put like something under like under the zip line or something like that on B-side. Whatever. God, free my girl Icebox.
Yeah,
I miss
Icebox.
Split. Is Split in the rotation right now? I don't quite remember.
I feel like it might be. I might be
Right?
crazy, but because they keep changing it. But I like Split as well.
Love
I think
Split.
Split is a good map. It's another one of those maps that's like very sided, kind of like most people think of Ascent as being.
Yeah.
But hey, we don't like we said we don't know what map number 2 is gonna be. But I'm really excited to see it. I don't think I don't know if Ascent was our choice or not. We typically don't choose Ascent. And actually, breaking news, interesting news, our next map is gonna be Fracture.
Whoa.
Strange.
Okay.
Strange.
Okay.
Because that is a map that is very dividing in the
Yeah.
Valorant community. You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, and don't get me started with Zip, because
yeah.
like if you're not rotating, like I don't think I've ever seen much people rotate through Zip, because Zip literally like calls you out so hard. Like you could be under sewers on like more towards like, I think it's A site where like you're under, all you hear is bzzz,
Yeah.
and now you know the other team's rotating, like what the heck. But I feel like, I don't know, Fractured is just an interesting, it's so big, you can come in through either side, and it's just like, I don't know, you really have to be good on your defense there and on your retake, because there's just so much to watch, especially when, you know, trying to defuse and like get all these cheeky plays. There's a lot of cheeky plays. I'm expecting a lot of judges and Buckies. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, there certainly is like room for some close range fights on this map, especially when you look up into this defensive side spawn area. Whereas everywhere else in the map seems to be more spread out. And what a interesting composition from the Hawks here. We have a Yoru and a Chamber, which are 2 agents who are really not in the meta right now. I mean, maybe Yoru, maybe, like if you're kind of like, you know, if you're like that guy, you can play Yoru, but like
not Chamber.
Yeah, not Chamber.
Whoa, interesting. I mean, we have Savani on Raze. I mean, this is pretty good for like, you know, Raze mains. This is a Raze map. Carrot on Brim. I like to see that. And Davy Jones on Brim. And we have Trace on Teo. I don't think I've seen Trace play Teo before while I was in the studio, but I mean, it seems like this is gonna end up working out.
All right, it does look like, so the Terps on the defense gonna start this one playing off sites actually, and it's gonna give HCC a pretty free B site, and that Chamber just TP'd out of the nick of time as Trace was waiting with his last pick. And use that Tay utility to buy herself a little bit more space as Carrots is able to get a pick when she's pushing in there from Canteen. As it looks like the Terps are still have themselves in a retake situation here. A lot of damage being done already. Carrots good for 2 so far, and Savani on the flank side of things is making things work out just beautifully for the Terps, putting them in a really good spot to win round number 1.
What a crazy, I mean, this is basically a clean sweep here. There's no choice but for, you know, the other Teo to go in, and Trace finishes off that round for us. And wow, what a beautiful round. I mean, with Fractured, I feel like you have to expect the unexpected. Like, I did not think that that's how this, you know, round would have played out. But I mean, with this, the Terps being on defense, it's working out pretty well.
Yeah, they played that defense round a little differently than I thought they would. They really did not focus on sitting on that B site. They played off site, and it really worked out for them, which I feel like is rare on this map because retaking can be a little bit difficult, but with a lot of different entry points, they were able to utilize them to their fullest extent. As this round, it does look like they're placing their bets on this A site more with a quick flank cooking up already.
Yeah, I mean, Yoru already starting to push up over there, like right behind Savani here, and we already have Soap getting picked off here as they're all starting to run into B site. You know, once was just a really, like, you know, small, slow A push turned into something really quick on the B. And keep in mind, we still have Yoru, and we already have a Vandal on Carrot getting a pick on that chamber, and our numbers are looking pretty good. I mean, keep in mind, the Yoru on the Hawk side is still starting to slowly creep up onto us, and unfortunately gets a pick on Trace, but don't worry, Carrots is there to save the day. Thank you, Carrots. But Savani also gets picked off in the process, but, you know, our numbers are kind of okay now. We have Carrots with a Vandal here, and hopefully Carrots is able to get these last 2 picks for us, you know, with them being in heaven, and then they're actually both being in heaven. It's just interesting play here.
One enemy remaining.
Carrot swings out, gets that pick, and that is going to even buy the Terps some more time to defuse this bomb, but they've got to work around this breach utility. Carrots does get picked off, but Davy Jones is sticking on this bomb and defuses it with 3 seconds left to spare. Wow, Davy Jones really was smart sticking that bomb.
I mean, real gamers stick, to be honest, and even though they may have a Vandal there on their side, doesn't matter. We're still 2 rounds up, and that's all we honestly need. It's just, wow. Fractured is just an interesting map. Just gonna be so honest. Fractured is just so interesting to play, and I mean, that Yoru lurk was just something that we should be expecting here. Now that, you know, it's a Yoru, I mean, with all that util, you could really do a lot and utilize a lot there, but we don't even have anybody watching A site at the moment. Now that we had that Yoru lurk, we're all making sure that there isn't a lurk again.
Alright, a very slow A push from the looks of it, but the Terps not really aggressively placed on this A site. They do have Davy Jones there with all of her breach utility, able to work in from heaven there, but it does look like it's not going to be enough of a defense here as Davy Jones does get killed, and HCC is going to be able to find themselves on this site without much of a problem at all. They have they had everybody until Savani there, able to creep in from Dish, and she's not done. She has a Guardian, which is a pretty good gun, and Trace is trying to work up a flank, although she does get killed as a result of being up against that Vandal, and now Soap is joining the rest of her team trying to fight this Yoru, but the TP is so hard to navigate sometimes, and the Terps are numbers up, but HCC is playing really off-site right now. I'm just kind of waiting to just spam this bomb, and that's exactly what they're going to do when that Yoru able to get 2 picks for that round.
The Yoru really showed their potential by picking Yoru for this map. I mean, like, once, you know, TP'd onto site first off, you know, because we didn't have any Terps holding onto site, it was just an easy execution for that Yoru to go in and was just standing on bomb, but right when one of our Terps gets a peek at that Yoru, TP's right back into main, and, you know, because that's a pretty good plant spot, all you have to do is spray. And now that they got rid of, I'm pretty sure they got rid of, like, pinging now. You know, you can't really see, like, what your teammates ping, and you just gotta spray and pray, and with all that brim mollies and everything, it just, wow. But amazing execution by the Hawks, to be honest, but it looks like they're not really, they're pretty spread out at the moment. You know, Savani is just trying to hold down on the A site here, but the Hawks are starting to favor more towards B site here, even though we do have a setup by Soap, thank goodness. But I mean, we have somebody that's going under sewers, I believe, actually, so the Hawks are actually pretty spread out, so we just really have to make sure that we can prevent their entrances, and we do. We get 2 picks onto the Hawks already, with our numbers still being 5 here. I mean, what more is there to do? They just really have to make sure that nobody's lurking, and Davy Jones gets that pick onto that chamber, and Soap is getting another pick onto the breach, and there's just one more Hawk standing on site. They know the positioning, and Soap just flawlessly gets 3 picks that round. Beautiful execution here by the Terps.
It was a great round from Soap, especially, and Davy Jones, but Soap came to play today. She had a great last map, and she's starting off Fracture on a really strong note as well. And the Terps have built themselves up with a little bit of a lead. You know, I think that's what's going to be key here is not letting things be so ping-pongy back and forth, and, you know, give yourself a lead, you know, give yourself a lot of momentum here, just to switch things up from what they have been looking like, which is just really back and forth.
Yeah, they're trying to assert dominance here. I mean, I think Fractured is looking pretty good for them. Soap setups are pretty good so far. I mean, these trips are, I don't think I'd be able to recognize, like, I would walk straight into those trips. I'm gonna be so honest. And this cam, right when this barrier goes down, automatic setup, like such a cheeky cam setup we have by Soap here. This is clearly her site and, you know, nobody else's, but we have the Hawks already split up onto both sides actually, and it looks like they're gonna default for a little bit, wait for some noise and see, you know, who wants to go first and like catch contact with one another.
All right, a lot of defense right now on A, but Bomb is actually sent over towards B. If I had to guess, I would say the Hawks want to kind of hit B site from the two different sides of this map, which is what makes Fracture so incredibly unique, is having the ability to do that. But yet again, the Terps opting to play off site on this B site, which is what they've been doing here on B. It worked out for them a couple rounds in a row, but can they pull this off again? So looking like she may have just been on the brink of wanting to peek out of that smoke, and sprays and is able to assist a kill for Carrots there, who peeks up into towers, and Bomb about to be planted here, but the Terps have done a little bit of damage just on the brink of this retake that they clearly have cooking up, and Soap is just hunting for another pick. It does a lot of damage, eventually does find number 2, but she's not done. She is even looking for more to just further increase this lead that the Terps have built up here, but she does get killed. Savani's going to satchel in onto this bomb side, catch the Yoru almost completely off guard, but now there's so much Taeho utility to work around here. It's going to just buy so much time, and with the Taeho ultimate, actually, it's going to force the Terps to be really strategic about their timing here, and Savani's got to peek out. She gets picked. The Taeho's up at 3 kills for this round. Bomb is taking down. Trace has no option but to push, and she can't do so in enough time, and that is a really tough round for the Terps to not win.
Wow, that Taeho got 4 kills on the Hawks side for that round, and I feel like, although, like you said, they were playing offside, the Terps were pretty confined just playing in our spawn, but I feel like that does come with disadvantages a little bit. You know, there's not enough space to move, and with the Hawks coming in from both sides, it's just not quite as favorable because there's just limited, you know, I guess like vision. You know, they were already coming in through Heaven from Zips, and, you know, just trying to make sure that, you know, you get as much picks as you can, but that and the combination of that Taeho util that round just wasn't going well for us. But it looks like they're starting on a different side this time. I mean, Taeho already throwing in that utility to check on A-Site, but A-Site is pretty neglected so far because Savani is just trying to make sure that Hall is just, you know, locked down and she can prevent anybody from coming in through door at that. And it looks like, you know, she's going to throw in some util and have that bot, you know, get some vision on. She knows that there's somebody there, and she's going to go ahead and start pushing in, throwing in her util. Hopefully get that pick, gets that pick on. She get one more, she gets another one, with Davy Jones being able to get one more pick on that Yoru. And here we are, 5-2 for our numbers so far. And, you know, Shaper and Taeho are still, you know, in where they started off the round in, but we saw Spike. So they don't really have a choice but to either save or to kill us, or to, you know, at least wrap around on the site. And there's not much to do here, so I don't know how this is going to play out.
Yeah, UMD have found themselves in a really strong position. I do think this is going to be a save for the Hawks here to give the Terps 4 round wins. And this would be huge if they're able to save all of their guns, actually. So great round for the Terps if you look at the grand scheme of the economy. And yeah, I mean, they're playing really strong in the defense. They're playing kind of different than I think a lot of other teams opt to play on Fracture. They're playing a little bit more gambling. They tend to gamble one site then play the other site super passively. But regardless of that, you know, whatever they've been doing, clearly working out for them.
Davy Jones just trying to mess around with Savani there by stunning her and maybe trying to scare her off a little bit. But I mean, like you said, this is huge. We were able to save all of our guns there. And, you know, I'm pretty sure even though the Hawks had to save that round, they're still going to be able to cook up something, you know, the next round. This is just the beginning. And even though we're, you know, 4 rounds in, how else can this go for us? I mean, I don't think I can quite read how the Hawks play just yet, but I feel like their Yoru is really strong, trying to utilize that utility.
Yeah, just to let you guys know, we are in a timeout. If I had to guess, I would say this is HCC's timeout because they have found themselves in a little bit of a deficit. And this is going to give Coach Dusty a good opportunity to just kind of talk about how he wants his team to shape up their defense. And I don't know what he's saying right now, but I kind of want to hear it.
I mean, I think Coach Dusty is pretty confident in their, you know, in the Terps gameplay. I don't quite remember if, you know, we did interview Trace last time, and I'm pretty sure when I asked, you know, what have they been practicing on, I'm pretty sure that she said it was fractured. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like either way, Coach Dusty seems pretty confident in his team right now, and I'm pretty confident in our team right now too, and it's just, it's looking pretty good right now. The economy looks amazing, you know, maybe not too much for the Hawks so far. I mean, maybe the Breach could get a bye, but I mean, they're full push. It looks like they're just gonna full push onto B and just follow off of that Yoru and get all of that, you know, insight from the Yoru. But because they're always, our Terps are always playing in the back here, the Yoru's not gonna quite catch much.
Yeah, Yoru ultimate used and kind of not really to its fullest extent, you know, it didn't really catch too many Terps off guard there. However, the rest of the Hawks were able to find themselves onto the city site, which the Terps have been opting to play a little bit more passively, regardless of it working out for them in the past few rounds. They've got to really be aggressive on this retake as Paris peeks out and matches that aggression, but she does get killed from an angle right behind her. Davy Jones is there to follow through, and the rest of the crew is led by Savani and Trace here on this B side, and suddenly this round is beautiful for the Terps. They only have 1 player left in their way of winning map number 5, or round number 5, and off of an HCC timeout too is huge, and that's something that they were able to do on Ascent as well. It's just crush any momentum, any strategizing that HCC has built up during their timeout, and that's really just a really important piece to this puzzle that I feel like a lot of teams struggle with, because it's difficult to come out of a timeout that you didn't take and just dominate still.
Yeah, that honestly, we steamrolled them, to be honest. I feel like, yeah, like what you said, the Yoru should have utilized that just a little bit better. I mean, you know, the Yoru had a Bucky, and I was expecting a little bit of like a flash and then come out of the ult and Bucky, but it didn't end up working out that way. But now that they're trying to switch things up, HCC is going in through A site here. Savani holding it down. She knows that one person is like led off of the group, but she's starting to go back because she's 13 HP, so she's just trying to use and get as much damage as she can on the Hawks so far. But, you know, we're slowly starting to rotate, and we're making sure we're clearing out, you know, our flanks here and, you know, to prevent any lurks. But the Hawks are just going in through door like crazy and already using that breach ult and that brim ult. Savani is just getting cooked up with all of this util and ult usage, unfortunately, but bomb has not been planted yet. Oh, speaking of, the bomb is being planted, and it's just, you know, numbers aren't looking so hot right now, but, you know, Trace looks like she's going to use all, you know, this Teo utility to try and spread out the Hawks as much as she can so she can get some kills, and she gets a pick off of that Yoru in the, you know, in the process.
Great use of utility from Trace, but the job is not done. They still have a spike to defuse, so Trace is going to use that Taeho ultimate into a main. She does get killed though, and so does Soap. Oh, that round fell apart so quickly, and you hate to see it. Taeho ultimate, which is a really, really strong ultimate, not being used to win a round.
I mean, just an unfortunate round by the Terps, but now I think the Hawks know that they can handle taking in A. You know, the Terps just really have to work on doing that retake. I don't think they expected to have all of them at that come in through door. Like, that was just crazy. I wasn't even expecting that. And poor Savani just getting, you know, ran down with all of those ults. They were just really trying to make sure that
site was clear for them to plant, and they most definitely did make sure it was cleared.
All right, HCC starting this one off in their own spawn, being slow, and look at the aggression that Savani's already posing here into A main. She backed up a little bit, but still there, waiting for a push to come her way outside of the smoke. She's gonna get forced off that angle thanks to that breach, and Teo utility manages to escape any HP damage, but now she's forced to back up and reposition as this push is about to come underway from A main.
Savani loves holding down that spot, but unfortunately, I think the Hawks started to sniff her out and just, you know, try and push her back onto site here. But with these, you know, brim smokes, they are pretty good smokes, so they really have to wait it out. But unfortunately, Davy Jones gets picked off, and Savani all of a sudden gets 3 picks off of just that. Oh my goodness, our numbers are looking pretty good here. 3-2. Savani wants to get one more. She knows somebody's hiding in their main, gets a 4th one. Can she get an ace today? You know, thankfully, even if she didn't get that ace, Trace was there to help her out. And 4 kills just off the bat. 3 just within, like, just like that. Wow.
Yeah, man, it's like we kind of blinked and Savani were able to click 3 heads all in a row there. Did not get the ace, but it's just because Trace wanted to, you know, make sure nothing was left up to chance, and I do not blame her. And oh, looks like we are heading into possibly a long tech pause. So we have some time to yap here, potentially in the chat saying 5-minute tech pause for a PC to restart. So bear with us for a moment as we're able to take a breather before continuing Fracture, which has been so strong so far. And actually, instead of yapping your ear off for 5 minutes, we're going to take a really brief break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back very briefly.
And I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Terp Adventures take flight at Stamp. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body, feed your mind, feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform, find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete. Play. With wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the Center for Campus Life, where Terp adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I don't think we are quite into the game yet. So just bear with us for a little bit longer. But do you want to see some really cute trinkets that Bree graciously brought into the studio? Look!
They're amazing. I don't know if any of you are blind box collectors, but these are beautiful Smiskies.
Let's play.
Oh goodness,
Oh,
these are so
wow.
cute. Oh, here we are back into the game with the Smitskis to give us the courage to continue forward here onto Fracture. Stefani getting forced off of her angle that she likes to hold so much, but instead she's backed up not too far, still looking for a swing to come her way. She was about to get it, but backs further up with Davy Jones holding outside a door there, which they've kind of been relying on if main doesn't work out for them. And Savani able to get a massive flick there in Carrots. Davy Jones both trying to hold down this A site, although as Davy Jones does hold on to her life, so does Carrots. So they're still alive here and they're still kicking here. So is Soap, and that's only going to leave this Tejo not for long, as Soap's able to come in there through CT to give the Terps a win after what was a bit of a long attack pause. So it's a good way to get back into this game.
Yeah, they gotta give Savani a break on site.
Yeah.
Come on now, like, you know, she's trying to hold it down through Hall there. You know, they kind of suspect that she's there. Are always throwing their util to, you know, push her back just a little bit. As she's pushed back on the site, just straight util yet again. Give this girl a break. But thank goodness she was able to get a pick off on that round. So we're doing pretty good. 7-3 so far. I mean, we have Soap on A site this time. I don't think I've seen a Soap setup, you know, a Cypher setup here from Soap just yet.
It is a Soap setup.
Oh yeah,
It
for
is.
sure.
Yeah, but a lot of those wires posted up on the A site, but it looks like for the first time in a couple rounds, gonna be a B execute. And actually it looks like this chamber's trying to be kind of sneaky and just walk under tunnel. Maybe they're gonna catch Savani off guard if they get there fast enough. Could creep up right behind Savani, but no, she has her eyes on that and expecting this push. But I think that chamber has an operator in hand, so Savani's gonna be really cautious about peeking this angle, because she's gonna peek into two players here and an operator.
They're gonna get ready to throw out some util, but Savani was able to get that pick on that chamber, and we still have Soap just hanging out, just trying to make sure A is okay. But Savani's gonna see one more Hawk, and Carrots over here just getting rid of this Yoru. You know, thankfully not hitting the the Yoru clone here, and everybody getting blinded here, but. We're looking pretty good, and the Hawks are kind of contained. There's not much to do here. The Terps are just staring like in every which way, trying to make sure nobody enters into B site, their site.
Yeah, contained is the exact right word to use, because that's what they are. They're really trapped here because they know Savani's watching this angle, but they also don't know they don't have any space to take on site, because that's where the rest of the defense is posted up. So this is going to be a round to go for the Terps yet again, putting them at 8-3, which is a much more decisive scoreline than we've seen in the past. And what happened here? Oh, Savani got one. She does get killed, but at least she's able to go down with a fight, you know?
Not gonna lie, they got me and Savani there. Savani, my mouth was just like wide open, just in awe. Savani was just staring like straight forehead on the camera there, just so locked in, and they knew that she was hanging out up there. They were ready to throw all that util, but she got a kill in return anyway. So, but we have her. Or actually, yeah, we have Savani with an op. I'm so excited. I'm hoping that they can actually go B site here. They're trying to, play it smart, go default, and wait to see if the Terps are going to push up into their spawn. They're more favored towards A, but, Savani's patient. She's willing to wait and see if, they ever change their mind, and it looks like they're starting to slowly push up, but there's also another op, and Savani wins that op fight against that chamber. This is only the beginning. I'm ready for her to get more kills here, but they're all starting to run in with that Yoru ulting, getting some information, and just, trying to tell their team where Savani's location is. And here she is dealing with all this util yet again, and this Yoru just trying to mess with her. And she kills that Yoru with just a shorty, by the way. And now she has a judge. She's gonna get one more, and she does. 3 kills already. Can she make it one more? Unfortunately not. And wow.
Man, she was on a rampage there. Able to hold that. I'll just break that down. She was able to hold that op angle. Wins an op v op fight. satchels back into a Taeho nade and is able to dodge it and pull out her shorty and kill the person who was rushing her. Then dodges a Brimstone ultimate and picks up a judge and almost kills another. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's such a mouthful, and she was able to do that in a matter of seconds. Wow. That puts the Terps at 9-3, a tricky scoreline for them to transition to the attack.
Hopefully this won't be a 9-3 curse, but I mean, hey, Savani really did it there. Like, and I mean, to be honest, that Brim on their team ended up getting that op shot on her, but it doesn't matter. She died in style, and we're gonna win this round flawlessly. I mean, the Teos hanging out where Savani was that one last round. And it looks like all this util is gonna get the both of the Hawks here, but Savani's ready to, you know, overwhelm them with all this utility as Teo is running back onto site. Two of the Terps just following in, and wow, they really got onto that Hawk. But we have Soap trying to go in through A main here, trying to get onto site, and hopefully, you know, we can get in that plant. While Trace is planting, you know, we're trying to make sure that we're clearing all of our corners here, trying to, you know, we're holding in through heaven, and, you know, Trace is throwing in all of that Teo util. Now we know where one of the Hawks are, like, hanging out from, the chamber more specifically, and it's just, we're just waiting for one another to peek out and get a kill.
Yeah, Trace and Soap playing this really strategically. Soap's gonna peek out and do some damage, but Trace is gonna be the one to deliver the deadly blow. But still, Soap is left alive here, and she's waiting for Savani to send in some reinforcements. Quick tap on the bomb. It's gonna be a jiggle peek to just ensure that that bomb is not on the defuse, and it's ticking down beyond repair, and Soap will be the one to close out that round to push the Terps at 10-3, man. What a decisive scoreline we have. The Terps finally going on a run here, asserting some confidence after what was a really back and forth map number one. They've really found their footing here on Fracture, and surprisingly so, because Fracture can be a map that you can either be really strong on or have no clue what you're doing on, because it was out of the map rotation for so long.
Right, exactly that. And I just feel like I think we really needed a little bit of a breather for that tech pause, because I mean, we're sweeping through these rounds like it's nothing, and we're going in with confidence here, and it's just looking pretty good for us so far. I mean, we're starting to push in just a little bit into A site here. The Bram on the Hawks side is a little overwhelmed by all the utility here, but Savani's going to start slowly backing up just a bit now that they know that her presence is there. But the rest of the Terps are going to start pushing up to B, since they kind of distracted the Hawks just a little bit to, you know, pay attention a little bit to A to see if the Terps are going to commit to it.
Yeah, just a little bit of a fake, just with some noise being made on all sides of the map, but it's a really slow walk up on this B site. The Hawks really did not see this coming, I don't think, because they're way out of position here. They do kill Davy Jones, but they're not in any position here to stop this flank from going down. Carrots being really aggressive with the Bulldog. Savani does get a nade kill, and I like how Carrots is just kind of hiding behind this box, because she's about to make contact here, and the chamber is going to swing into her, but she has her smokes out, able to get on her Bulldog in just the nick of time to get that kill, and Savani nets yet another kill there on that Yoru to give the Terps some even more confidence here, or staying on to this B site. And now the retake starting to come into fruition for the Hawks here. They're grouped together right outside a canteen. They swing through, Savani not having any part of that, and finds herself for the second 4K here on Fracture.
A lot of the morale is starting to get a little bit higher in the studio here. I mean, much more smiles, and, you know, and it's looking pretty good for the Terps here. 4 kills just with, like, a Spectre alone, and, like, wow, Carrots just hiding behind that box on that chamber, breaking their neck, just looking up to the top of rope to, you know, see if somebody was there, but nope, just Carrots, and just great, you know, great pick off of that, and just wow, just 2 more rounds, and then the Terps are going to take home Fractured. And then after that, just 1 more map. But let's not speak and get too ahead of ourselves just yet. We have Savani starting to clear corners and just going into A here. Hopefully she catches this chamber off guard, but the chamber TP's so fast.
But she hit the chamber's head before, and now she's still blazing on to this A side. Does find a pick on that brimstone, and a lot of damage, like I said, done to that chamber already. It's gonna lead Davy Jones to take advantage of that space that's been created for her so far, and Soap is still working on that lurk as she does so frequently. They're gonna take zipline to try and help out her team outside of Dish, as you know, Carrots, Savani, Davy Jones all doing their part here, watching the respective angles, waiting for those smokes to dissipate before having to really defend those angles aggressively.
Yeah, Spike is already planted, so time is ticking for the Hawks here. Savani's just viciously waiting for, you know, somebody to peek out there from that window there, but, you know, they're throwing all this util on the site. Savani gets somebody just while they're turned around, unfortunately gets picked off. But, I mean, with time's ticking again, they do have to end up defusing, and we only have Soap just getting ready, just one shot, another shot. One more? Unfortunately not, but still.
I think that's enough, though. I don't think they have time to defuse the bomb. Yeah, Soap. What a massive clutch. Oh my goodness. I know I've said it many times, but what a series so far for her. Oh my goodness. She's clutched in so many key moments. And that was no exception. 2 crazy shots back to back to just force the diffuser to get off the bomb and panic a little bit and buy them enough time to win that round to put them at map number 2 point. Yeah, another look at her stats. And keep in mind, she's a Sentinel. And here she is, like, fragging out, coming in clutch. She has really good stats for a Sentinel as well. So she is just such an important piece to this puzzle. And her and Savani, them two, just have been unstoppable. I believe Savani, yeah, 22 kills, 22 and 8. And look at the scoreline for HCC. It looks completely different.
Oh yeah, I feel like HCC is starting to lose their momentum just a bit. I mean, even with that Yoru pick, it seemed like it was really working out for them at the beginning of the game, but it just didn't, you know, get to pull through as the time, you know, as the game ended up going on. But we only need one more round to take this map home for the Terps, and it looks like Savani is just ready to run in there and get some blood on her gun, because we're so ready to just go ahead and take this home. This chamber's starting to get a little bit of, you know, starting to back up a little bit. Carrot gets a pick on their breach over there, and, you know, we're already ready to just run onto site here. Hopefully she doesn't get contact in here, but if she does, she hopefully would get this kill. Unfortunately, gets judged instead by the Teo, but Savani's here with her ult out, ready to just throw it wherever she sees any kind of contact, and hopefully she gets it on this Teo, but unfortunately the Teo gets her instead.
Trace and Davy Jones able to respond, though, for the Terps to keep this bomb ticking here on B site. They're waiting for this retake to come through, and it's being taken from 2 different angles. The HCC Hawks are not playing together. Instead, this Yoru is playing solo here, relying on this ultimate. Comes out of the ultimate, does find the pick on Davy Jones, and has found themselves in a really convenient position here into tower on B site. It's going to force Trace to rely on that Teho utility to buy even more time as this bomb is starting to tick down. The Terps can taste a map number 2 win here, but the job isn't done. They have to kill this Yoru. Yoru tap bomb, so peeks through, right clicks her way to map number 2 win. And now the Terps are just 1 map win away from winning the grand finals. They can almost taste it.
Let's go. Wow.
Yeah, what a vibe switch from what we had in map number 1. That was just a completely different scoreline in so many ways. And yeah, look at the team. They're ready to just take a quick little break and hop back into it. And they're hyping up Savani as she deserves. But yeah, thank you all for watching map number 2, and do not go anywhere yet. We have a lot of series left ahead of us. And make sure you tune back in after a quick commercial break.
Whether you're a new publisher or app developer, or if you've been around the block for a little while and you have your own ad ops team, Playwire is developing the solutions and products that are perfect for you.
RAMP stands for Revenue Amplification Management Platform. But really what it does, it helps you make more money per user, and it helps you simplify your business so you can just focus on what matters, which is making great content. So if you think about today's ecosystem, there's so many different pieces to run an ad tech platform.
Ramp brings the entire ad ecosystem under one umbrella. Everything from centralized ad unit creation to piping in those demand sources. We layer on a DMP, and we take care of your data privacy and consent management for you as well. We tie all of that together with robust analytics.
Playwire really offers our publishers two different models at this point. We've got the full service model where we come in and we cover everything. And there's now our new self-service model where you can come in and you can say, I just want Playwire to take care of some of these things for me. Another thing that we've had a lot of partners do with us in the past is say, hey, maybe I have a few of my own direct campaigns that I want to run. Or I've even got an ad ops team. I don't know whether Playwire is right for me because those people are doing a good job. We don't want to displace them in favor of Playwire. That's fine. We're happy to bring all the technology that we've put out there, but use it with your own team and with your own ad stack. What does that mean for you as a publisher? It means that you get to leverage all of the revenue maximization technology that we've got in place and still have all of the capabilities and all of the demand partners that you're used to working with. You can have your cake and you can eat it too.
We actually do things at such scale, right? We're serving 70 billion ads a month at this point. That's a huge benefit that we're passing on to the publisher.
Revenue intelligence marries human intelligence with machine intelligence. At its core, revenue intelligence is about taking all the demand that you're already getting and getting more out of it. We want to make it so that you're getting 10% more from your ad inventory without even worrying about who the advertisers are. It's based on us going in and understanding what are the places where we can put additional price pressure on. There's all sorts of situations like this where you can eke out little benefits and add them all up. You're quickly at a point where you are getting that 10, 15, 20% uplift on your revenue without having made any changes in who's actually doing the advertising.
Our DMP is built from the ground up to work in a cookieless environment and not use cookies to basically store, user behavior or anything like that. And it's built right into the Ramp platform.
We can tell advertisers information about user interests, but also user behavior, do it on a massive scale, do it in that real-time way that we also do with our revenue intelligence capabilities, and also do it in a way where we can leverage the size of our network. We're trying to do everything that we can to show you every step of the process of getting an ad onto the page. That means that we've got much richer charts and graphs, a lot more ability to look at a piece of information and drill down on it. Answer that question that maybe you didn't even know that you were asking. We're trying to make you think differently, actually, about your business, about how your business relates to advertising, and reveal all of that through the platform. So analytics are one big piece of it.
It's a constant evolution. We're constantly updating our technology. We're constantly creating the future.
It's a real challenge for publishers these days to navigate advertising technology. It seems like every 6 months there's some new challenge. And at Playwire, we make sure that we take all of that pain away from our publishers so they can focus on their core business of publishing.
Terp Adventures. Take flight at Stamp. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body. Feed your mind. Feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform, find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete. Play. With wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the Center for Campus Life. where Terp adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the start of map number 3, and this could be our last map, which is kind of crazy. Typically, I don't think I've been in a part of a best of 5 here at UMD that it hasn't gone to 5 maps. So if the Terps could get it done in 3, that would be pretty crazy.
Yes, Lotus is our next map, and this is for all the marbles. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I really think the GC Premier Team does really good on Lotus, at least when they've played Lotus in the past. I mean, it seems to work out pretty fine. They do some safe plays with their characters. You know, Savati's going to be on Jet. We're going to have maybe like a KO or KJ Cypher, anything like that. And we're going to have Omen on there, obviously. And it's just, I think it'll be a good run, maybe a clean sweep, so.
Yeah, Lotus is a map that they're really well practiced on because it has been in the competitive pool for a good minute now. Tracy with the Baja Blast is so iconic. But yeah, it's a map that's been in the comp pool for a good minute, and it's a map that we've seen GC play in the studio, just like on stream, a lot. They do play this map a lot, and they do know already what composition they're going to be going with. Like you said, in Omen, I already suspect Carrots is going to be throwing that one way near mound with their smokes to try and peek out and get a pick. Soap is probably going to play KJ here. We're definitely going to see, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Cypher, a Breach.
Oh yeah, Breach.
This is a Raze map as well. So I think that's how our lineup will go for the most part. But for HCC, I don't know, man. They've been throwing up some kind of crazy compositions.
Yeah, that Yor really threw me off guard. I honestly thought in the beginning, like, it would end up actually working out, and I just feel like maybe they just didn't utilize his kit, you know, as much as they should have. I mean, I feel like maybe it's because the Terps just didn't give them that space to allow the Yoru to move that way, but I mean, hey, who knows, it might be like another chamber on, you know, the chamber seems to be a kind of sort of common on Lotus in a way. They might resort back to Jet and Reyna yet again, maybe like a Raze and Reyna. I mean, I know that's also a good pick if you're gonna go double duelist on Lotus, but I mean, nonetheless, could go any way. But I think, you know, talking about defense, we're gonna do great. You know, KJ setups are going to be amazing. Cypher setups, if you choose, is also going to be amazing. And our retakes seem to be pretty good, I would say so, on Lotus as well. And just even attacking, you know, especially on A site, if we're going to run it down, you know, we dodge all that util that, you know, most teams like to throw in right when you enter onto A site. But other than that, I'm excited.
Yeah, there's a lot that could be up in the air, and I'm also wondering if we're gonna see a Deadlock, because Deadlock does tend to be kind of the only map that we see Deadlock being like heavily picked on is this one, which is Lotus, because of those walls and that C setup that you're able to have on Deadlock. So I don't think the Terps are gonna pull out a Deadlock, but I would not be surprised if we saw that from HCC because of the kind of suspicious compositions that they've been throwing out with that chamber. And I know Carrots must have been really excited to see that chamber, because she, if you guys don't know, like apart from this competitive NECC play, she is a die-hard chamber stan. On Fracture, she's gonna pick chamber. She's gonna completely dominate. However, she obviously plays controller here with the Terps for the team, but on her own, I know she is kind of a chamber fiend. So I think she was talking in the studio saying, like, I knew exactly how to counter the chamber, because, like, I just, like, you know, I know what they want to do because I'm a chamber player. And I'm like, that's so interesting to me. Like,
I read that chamber like a book, honestly, and I don't think I really quite like remember seeing any like chamber plays on the Hawks side, at least on Fractured, and like it's a little like alarming that, you know, she was just able to read them just like that. But I'm feeling like, since we're on the topic of, you know, a little like odd, you know, out of place compositions, I'm kind of thinking of like an ISO.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's not too odd, you know, it's a little common, but like ISO, going against an ISO, you know, getting caught in that ult and you have to really win that 1v1, like, I don't know, I lose my mind when I get caught in an ISO ult. I like lose my guard. I'm like shaking in my boots. Once those walls go down, it's over. I'm like,
it's, oh my god, it's just, I know when ISO came out, everyone was making the JJK Jujutsu Kaisen memes,
domain expansion.
People don't know, but yeah, it's like domain expansion, and then you're just like, oh no, like
at what cost?
Yeah, so ISO could definitely be in the cards. I could see that, especially on this map. Being able to ult behind walls and catch a site completely, particularly B site, A site, just
tree.
Yeah,
Oh
tree.
my gosh,
There's a lot
tree.
of good potential here for some good ISO plays that, again, I don't suspect the Terps are gonna necessarily reach for, but they have to kind of be expecting that HCC is thinking about those things. But hey, this could be a really just important map for the Terps. Let's not forget where we are. We are in the grand finals for our NECC division. So this is a huge map any way you slice it. And hopefully we're going to be heading into Agent Select sooner rather than later. But I think with these super high stakes maps, everybody needs a break before we hop into the next one. So I think that's kind of why we're seeing the teams kind of take longer to regroup.
Yeah, this is for all the doubloons, guys.
All the doubloons.
All the
all of them.
doubloons. Oh, goodness. You know, just, I'm just ready to see it. Oh, and it looks like we're already going in. We have a Fade, Raze, KJ, Breach, and an Omen, you know, something that's pretty familiar from the Terps. But we do have the Vise and another Yoru pick yet again. I feel like, you know, the Hawks might be going for another like round to redeem themselves with this Yoru pick here.
Yeah, we said we were going to kind of see an interesting pick, and that's exactly what we do see. Vice picked kind of commonly on the snap, although she's not someone who's people are typically reaching for still. And Yoru always kind of a crazy pick. But regardless of any of that, looks like HCC going to start their attack half by hitting this A site. Savani's posted up right behind this pillar and actually gets instantly killed in combination with those Raze nades. That Omen able to peek out and kill Savani. And now HCC has a completely free A site, but are they going to decide to take that space, or are they going to flood in from Breakable? Looks like they're going to choose A site instead and kind of force a retake here from the Terps, where most of them are positioned up into heaven and are creeping in through stairs.
They're pretty aware that Breakable is already open here, so that Breach is playing back on the Hawks side. But, I mean, Trace was able to walk out of that with no... Oh, I spoke too soon. With no problem, but unfortunately, the Breach did end up, you know, swinging out. But as bomb is planted, you know, Carrots is trying to go in here, catches that Omen off guard. Unfortunately, he does get picked off by the Vise hanging out in tree, and we have... You know, that Vise is actually just going off here, and that first round goes up into HCC.
Yeah, what a quick round number one, and it was that Vice, like you said, who really came to play in the later stages of that round. And it was interesting because it felt like once Savani got picked off holding that really close angle, despite Carrots being close by, they're just, I could tell Carrots, you know, obviously not wanting to face a 5v1 in that case, forced to back up. And then you pretty much give up a full site, and that's where things really went south for the Terps. So
yeah, I mean, the nade and like trying to hug onto the wall while blinded at the same time just wasn't a great combo for Savani. She just, all this util has just been coming towards Savani. Free her. What is going on? Since like the first map, it's just been all that util thrown at her. But my goodness, we're already... Whoa, HCC is already onto C site, you know, forcing the Terps to play retake here, playing a little farther back. I did see some judge action from that Raze, and now we already have Carrots getting taken out by a Bulldog from that Omen, and the Yoru also getting a pick there on Savani.
And the Terps are just fighting for their lives here up into Waterfall with Soap and Trace here, just working together, trying to, you know, make some space here, make something out of nothing, because they've once again completely lost site control, and Soap does get killed because of that swing. Davy Jones trying to take advantage of an off angle, but gets killed from down below. That's only going to leave Trace in a really awkward position. And boy, Classic, there's not much to say. Just try to get a kill or two, and does some damage, but cannot quite close out a kill on any of those HCC players.
We're now down to 2 rounds, 2 of them being for the Hawks, and I feel like, you know, again, it's too early to tell, but I feel like the Raze might be a little bit of an issue for the Terps here. I mean, that was a beautiful execution. Satchel straight onto site like it was nothing, and, you know, it really forced us to push back, but then again, we did lose the first round, so they did have a little bit more money and a little bit more to buy, more than the Terps, so, you know, not much to do there, but now that it's the 3rd round, we're both gonna have, you know, they're gonna work off of their save from the 2nd round, and the Terps finally have some money, so hopefully we can, you know, get in our kills there and just get site held down and, you know, be able to play retake, you know, properly.
I think we are in the next round, so here we are with some kills already being exchanged here on the C side. It's going to continue to be an issue with Soap getting killed and bomb comes down. Savani finally does get a kill, although she's quickly traded. That is an important weapon down. A Vandal out of the equation when the Terps only are faced in a 2v4 here, and they found themselves kind of in the same position as they did in the round before, being off these sites and forced to kind of peek in regardless of smokes, regardless of Vice utility. And Davy Jones does get swung into, and here we are again with just Trace here, with just a lot of players in her way of getting a round win, and she's just gonna opt to save that Phantom.
Yeah, I think the Hawks are trying to see that C is their site, and, you know, there's not much to do about that. And that Yoru was really just, you know, camping Davy Jones there with that door, as Davy Jones was trying to tease that door a little bit, but got pushed back with that Vise utility, and then ultimately got swung in the end anyways. But not really much of an option but to save for the Terps here, and see where it goes on from here. We're down to 3 rounds now, but, you know, we really just have to make sure that we hold down that site from C site. It looks like they're gonna switch it up a little bit on the Hawk side and push in A. So hopefully, you know, as Trace and Savani are gonna start pushing up to A, you know, they don't get caught in, like, you know, some util battles or like any like stray bullets as they're starting to like try and, you know, dominate their way up to A and get onto site.
Yeah, so the Hawks, like you said, gotta switch things up a little bit, make some presence outside of A. Trace and Savani there on the other side of this door here, trying to just create a little bit of pressure, but backing up once it's not reciprocated there. Kind of allowing HCC to take a little bit more space and focus more of their efforts here into defending the bomb site instead of dying super early and being out of position. So that's going to give some time for the rest of the team to rotate over once this site hit becomes more of an issue. And with Savani and Trace both getting killed, Terps have lost control of A site yet again. And now it's up to Carrots here as the closest one, with Davy Jones quickly to follow. But with Soap getting killed, it's only them 2 left with Sheriffs. So it's going to be really difficult for those 2 to get on this bomb site and defuse this bomb. And it's another A site hit that the Terps were not able to hold down.
I mean, the Raze is just waiting for Carrots to wrap around and just automatically get a face full of Vandal there. But, you know, they're trying to do as much as they can. Davy Jones just is maybe waiting for somebody to go ahead and peek in and, you know, be a late rotate for the Hawks. But, you know, she's trying to play exits here and get as much kills as she can as they're leaving. But I don't think it's quite, you know, I don't think she should save this Bulldog. It's looking like she's gonna have to die to the bomb so we can fix a little bit of the Terps economy. But just what an unfortunate round there for the Terps.
Yeah, and it's been an unfortunate couple of rounds in a row. We have not quite won a round yet on Lotus. So the energy taking a bit of a different take here than it has been of recent. The Terps being kind of seemingly timid, not confident. Just the energy just died down a little bit. And it's not what you want to see in map number 3. So I think it's all about them getting themselves started and really just getting them started for a run. And are we going to see a timeout come in soon? I think so if they lose the next 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah, I most definitely think that we do deserve a little bit of a timeout here. I mean, this is Lotus. The Terps have been doing relatively good on Lotus. I mean, we did end up getting a timeout called, and, you know, Coach Dusty does look a little stressed out here compared to the last map. But again, Lotus isn't anything out of the ordinary. Lotus should be common ground for the Terps here. They've played it a lot in the studio here, and like, I don't know if there's anything different that they should be, you know, if there's something new that they should be trying out or stopping some like old strategies that they've been using. But nonetheless, this is something they should know how to combat, and maybe it's just the way the Hawks have been approaching them that's just throwing them off just a little bit. I mean, our numbers on the board here, we only have Trace with 2 kills, Savani and Karis both with 1, and the Raze on the Hawks team is already going 7, and I think that's what we were just, you know, what we were fearing for just a little bit.
Yes, the Terps going to have to fight to close out the series in 3. This time they're going to have to fight on the C site, where Soap has placed a lot of this utility, but I don't know if it's going to be able enough to stop this Raze nade. Thankfully, the Raze nade does not quite catch any Terps on the other side of it, and Carrots does land a good shot there. to further just give her team a little bit more hope as they are faced with yet another retake here on the C site. But how are they going to go about it differently? They're going to invest that Fade ultimate to start things off, which is a slightly different move than they've been able to do in the past. They're going to use some of Davy Jones' utility, and no, Davy Jones gets unfortunately killed. So does Carrots. Everything seems like it's crumbling as Savani also gets picked off. But Soap is there to respond. So is Trace. They may be what gives this team life here into this round. Coming out of the timeout, it's an important round to win. Bomb is halved. Both Trace and Soap are off bomb, and Soap will be the one to win that round for the Terps, finding a 3K for herself, and that is exactly the tone switch you want to see on the receiving end of a timeout.
Oh yeah, they most definitely locked in. Even though everything was crumbling very fast, the Terps were still able to lock it in. I mean, it was pretty unfortunate for Davy Jones, even with that Fade ult, it shows where all the enemies are, and with, her being able to blind and still get picked off anyway, I would have been tilted. Me personally, with high stakes and a bunch of, it's high intensity here, you really have to make sure that you're winning your fights, especially since, I think that's one of the issues that the Terps are kind of going against. But despite HCC being able to get into sight flawlessly, you really gotta win those fights against them to supplement that, to prevent them from continuing to plant bomb or to sit on site.
Alright, it looks like Terps looking to go on a run after winning that last round, which is their first round win here on Lotus, but how will they keep those good vibes going? We will have to see, as I believe they're heading into the next round already. Up here we are with Trace off the bat, finding two. Savani there to back her up on this A side. Suddenly, the Terps have cracked the code on this A hold as Savani finds two for herself as well, and also has full bomb control and has backed this Omen up into a corner into tree and is just waiting for her teammates to terrorize the Omen with some utility. But the Omen does kill Savani. Terps still have good numbers here, and they're able to just kind of bully this Omen with the amount of utility they have available to them. So they should be in a good position here, but man, finally a solid A-hold.
Wow, they don't get too excited just yet. I mean, we are still good at numbers, but this Omen can still most definitely kill all of our Terps here. I mean, even with all that, with that much health yet, but thankfully Davy Jones gets that last kill on the Omen, and that crazy bomb, hold on bomb just so quick into the round was just amazing, and it all just happened so fast, and that's what we need to continue doing. We're only 2 rounds down now, and again, it's only up from here.
Yeah, the Terps crawling their way back into this one slowly but surely, and now that hopefully Trace and Savani have just a heightened level of confidence there on their A-hold, we won't see that be as much of an issue in the future, because it has been in rounds past, and now all we've got to figure out is the C-hold that's been giving us some issues, although might be an expected B push here. They haven't done this yet, and Davy Jones is the closest one to give the Terps any read of that. That, along with Soap's turret, gonna sound the alarm bells that this is going to be a B hit if they were past this carrot smoke.
I mean, the way that this Yor was, it's time for this Yor to shine. This is all the utility that's being utilized, and, they're just trying to mess with Soap here. Yor might go ahead and TP there and just mess with Soap for a little bit. Savani already getting her ult out, but unfortunately gets picked off before she could even detonate it. And, bomb is already planted here. We only have 2 Terps versus the 5 Hawks. We were able to get some picks there, leaving us to only 3 Hawks to go against, but it's all or nothing for Trace here. 3 of them know where she's located, and they're all gonna shoot once she peeks out just a little bit. And the Raze on the Hawks side finishes off for their side, leaving us 2-5 against the Hawks.
So any chance of a run that the Terps thought they were gonna have, quickly crushed by the Hawks. They're able to win a couple rounds there, and then all of a sudden they're back having to fight for it, and they're back with their economy taking the hit after losing that round, and I don't think their economy ever got the chance to fully recover, so they still are not in a really good position here yet on the defensive side of things, and with them not being able to hold down that B site, it kind of makes you wonder, okay, where can we have a strong hold?
Yeah, they most definitely know, for the Hawks at least, that they can most definitely run down B-site, and it looks like their Yoru started to utilize a lot more of that utility to help them get onto site more so than just relying on their Raze to just satchel in and nade and just, try and clear up as much space as they can. But now that they can be able to work together, it's something that, we won't be sure like what to expect from it.
It does look like it's going to be a C execute. The raise satchels in, and it forces Soap out of position here, not wanting to take an unfavorable fight. But Savani satchels in behind doors and does get killed, and the Vice on a rampage also manages to kill Trace. And suddenly Seaside is just falling apart for the Terps right now. Davy Jones just trying to buy herself a little bit more room outside of Waterfall and peeks out, but with a share has to jiggle around that corner and does get killed. Although Soap tries to get a pick into Waterfall, does so, but does get traded shortly after. And now Carrots is just left between a rock and a hard place with nothing but a Sheriff and a Dream here. And what a round did that Vice have for HCC?
3 kills that round with barely any HP left. I mean, again, that was a save round for us, for the Terps. And, you know, it's either you can thrifty them or you can just, you know that you have to lose the round and just buy up your economy for the next round. And I think that's something we have to do. And now that our economy is looking a little better here, we have Savani using a Judge. Oh, nope, switched it. Oh, or is going back and forth between a Judge and a Vandal. And I'm assuming this is just going to mean she's going to have to take as much space as she can to at least get some picks off. It looks like she might work, you know, pretty well here, backing up into Seaside, because it seems like that's what HCC is going to favor, but she's going to play their game and try and get as much people as they can with that Judge, holding on to this corner as they're slowly starting to strategize how they're going to get onto this site. And here she is getting hit with all this util and that ult there, so now she can't use her gun due to that Vise ult, so she's forced to use her classic, so her plan might be spoiled a little bit.
Oh, Vice ult finally dissipates, and just in time for that raise not to peek out, Davy Jones uses that ultimate to give the Terps a little bit more room on the Seaside land. Savani a kill, although she does get picked off. Bomb is ticking, but Carrots and the rest of her team are heading on to this Seaside. Davy Jones also getting a pick there. They're able to just smoke off Mountain, and hopefully Trace is able to sit on that defuse for long enough, and it's just a beautiful retake. Finally, the Terps are able to crack that code and pull off a just insane retake on Seaside with the help of a couple ultimates, but nonetheless.
I know Davy Jones had fun with that stun. I could hear some laughs going on in the studio. You know, they already knew that 2 of the Hawks were just hanging out back while we were sticking down that defuse. And like, keep in mind, that's a pretty popular defuse because it's just a tight little angle that you could just, you know, spray your gun towards and get like as much, you know, wall bangs as you can and as much damage as you can towards the person defusing. But, you know, as we were defusing, she was ready to throw in that stun and was just making fun of these Hawks, and we won that round beautifully.
This time it looks like it's going to be an A hit, and Soap and Trace do not want any part of that. They're backing up way almost into their own spawn here. Gonna use that, gonna let that your utility run out and take all that space onto this A site. But Soap did drop down into drop. He's forced out thanks to that breach utility, and she does get killed as a result. And that is going to put the Terps in yet another retake position. These rounds looking really similar round after round, but will the difference be that the Terps are able to crack the code here on this A-site retake? We'll see. Carrots lends things to a great start, even though Davy Jones does get killed. Carrots still on her streak there, just finding 2 picks for herself, with Trace is also being used. She's able to dodge a raise nade when Carrots able to help her out on the back end of this map, and Carrots on the brink of an ace, but she does get killed before she can finish the job. Now the spike is ticking down. Savani left in a crucial 1v1. She halves the spike, gets off the bomb, swings, and cannot quite find the pick on the Yoru, but time was ticking down beyond repair anyway. But what a close round.
What a crazy round there. 4K already off the bat from Carrots. I mean, oh my goodness. But unfortunately, we couldn't land the stick there from Savani, as that Yoru had to slowly push up and, you know, end off the round for them. But I mean, it did look very familiar. You were right, like you were saying, and just we do have to work on our retake just a little bit. I mean, that plant spot did look like a different plant spot. It looked like they planted safe on, you know, the Hawk side to try and, you know, protect themselves from getting shot from planting, but it ended up working in their favor, and we're down. We're down a couple of rounds, but it looks like they're going to try that strat yet again by going through A site here. Trace is starting to back off just a little bit. You know, she's alerting her teammates, letting them know that they're starting to push yet again onto A site, but this time with that raise just going on, trying to throw in as much util while that Yoru is there, you know, supplementing her. But thank goodness Trace was able to get that pick on that Yoru.
Yeah, what a shot from Trace there. Even though you're not able to hold down sight, just doing as much damage as you possibly can is gonna help out your team in the later stages of this round. Now that they do have just a slight numbers advantage working for them. It does look like the Terps trying to retake in from stairs. They do catch this Raze off guard. Good job from Soap there as she's blazing in with the rest of her teammates onto the site. They kind of backed HCC up into tree, and they're gonna use all this Davy Jones utility to give these fights an any edge they possibly can, but it's all a distraction as bomb was being diffused in the meantime. Yet again, it's the retake that won the Terps the round.
I think that's honestly just the strike here. Just have somebody, you know, if we have as much teammates alive, just go ahead and stick down that plant and just have Davy Jones throw all of her util at whoever is contained there. In that case, you know, in tree and, you know, all that stun, the blind and everything. And it really disorients you on the other end, because that's some breach flashes, and breach stuns are no joke. And like, you're just jumping around trying to hit as much shots as you can, and thank goodness we won that round. We're doing much better for the Terps here. I mean, I'm wondering if HCC is going to decide to go on with the C push. And it looks like they're not. They're going with the B push, something that they were able to execute perfectly the last time. You know, they started off following into that Yoru, and all of the Hawks are just ready to push out and get as much, you know, kills as they can. Soap's a little contained here. Savani gets 2 picks off of her ult just like that. Can she turn to the right and see if that Yoru is going to get her? Unfortunately, the Yoru does pick her and Davy Jones both off, but we're still pretty even with our numbers so far. And, you know, this Yoru is going to try and utilize all of their util with just the Yoru left. Just, again, utilizing this util to distract Soap. But we have Trace here ready to protect Soap, and here we are with another round, 5-7 for the Terps.
Great teamwork there from those two. Just the trust of, hey, stick this, I got this, don't even worry about it, said Trace in that moment. But Trace having the confidence to protect her teammate on the defuse made all the difference, and the Terps are keeping themselves alive. It kind of feels like they should be ahead at this point, but they're not. Instead, it's going to be the half switch, and the Terps are going to transition to being on the attack, and you just got to hope that they find themselves in a confident groove on the attack to just win 3 more rounds in a row to put themselves ahead.
I think the attack is going to be just something, you know, that they're good at. Like, they're pretty good at, you know, having Savani go in there, and then, you know, Davy Jones is probably going to throw in some stuns and some blinds, as Carrot's already going to throw down a smoke as they're into the site. I think this is going to be something that they're going to be able to execute beautifully, especially on a pistol round.
Yeah, it does look like they're trying to go for this B push, which I'm not sure if HCC is going to expect off the bat, because it's not a site that's typically favored, because it's really hard to hold down in the post plant. So instead, it will be a rotate towards that A site. But I do like that Soap is holding this position, and she's going to do so really patiently, just kind of hoping that Omen is going to cross paths with her. But the rest of her team will start this A site hit. Going to start it up with a lot of utility being thrown back site to try and clear out some of those defenders there, at least get them stunned. But the job is not quite done as Savani does get killed. Davy Jones forced to swing off of that and finds 2 with a ghost. What amazing shots from Davy Jones, and she's able to get plant down 2 as the cherry on top.
Unfortunately, Carrot gets picked off by the Raze, and Davy Jones also gets picked off by that Raze, but Trace tries to trade and gets that Omen here. We're even in our numbers yet again, but Bomb is actually planted for us just a little bit as Soap is trying to throw in as much mollies as she can, but the Vise gets a pick on a trade, and Soap is just insane, but with just a classic, by the way, and was just, wow, amazing.
Oh, she is just going off this series. Oh my goodness, what a clutch. And you can see it totally 180s the momentum and the mental of this team. Smiles all around. It's not like they were, you know, in a bad mental before, but now you got to just have so much energy after your teammates able to give you a chance like that and clutch with a classic.
There's just so much meaning to win a pistol round, honestly. That, by the way, all done with a classic. So now they have a little bit of a bonus to just buy themselves up just a little bit. So they have no choice but to win this round, because if they lose these guns to the Hawks, then that was just, you know, money just kind of thrown away in a sense. And it looks like they're starting to favor more towards B, and Savani catches his Omen off guard, thank goodness, and now they're gonna start transferring it onto C site. Savani's ready to jump in, probably satchel in, but she's a little wary because, you know, Vise is here. I know that wall's gonna probably go up in just a bit. Savani gets a pick on that Vise, and we're already down to 2 Hawks left, and you know, they're starting to slowly rotate onto CT as Trace is trying to plant down that spike, but Savani's not done yet. She knows that her bot sees that somebody's there on CT, assuming that it's, you know, breach, and she's still gonna go in and wait for that contact for him to swing that corner, gets that pick, and has 3 kills this round.
Oh, and Soap is almost there to clean up this round, to level out the scoreline. Oh my goodness, the Terps just got a second win all of a sudden. You know, they were down a lot. There was like 4 or 5 rounds they were down. And now look at them. They're on the brink of actually being in the lead for the first time here on Lotus. And that would be huge. And it's all because players like Trace, like Soap, are stepping up. Every single one of these players here on our GC Premier team this series has clutched a moment or two, has really come in to win the round for their team here and there, and it's just all your players giving it their all. That's really giving them the confidence to charge forth in this series as Trace does get killed to start off this really crucial round.
I mean, this breach is starting to get ready to charge up that stun as Savani's starting to move on to A site. This Yoru wants to throw down that blind to get, you know, Savani thrown off just a bit, but you know, she's starting to lurk just a little bit, just like hopefully being able to catch at least one person, you know, off guard. She catches that, she catches the Omen, but the Omen unfortunately, you know, gets most of her damage off of that Outlaw. And you know, the Terps are actually dropping like flies, unfortunately. We already have Soap onto B site. You know, the most we can do is just plant and just hope that we can get this going. But the Omen has been going crazy with that Outlaw. Already getting 3 picks on all of our Terps here. Can Carrot make sure he's down? And yes, she does. Getting 2 picks on that Vise and that Omen. And it's just a 1v2 for Carrot. This is still very winnable for Carrots here.
Yeah, Carrots was full blind there where she got that second pick. So great game sense from her, but the job is not done. She has 2 more players standing in her way, and she's got to plant this bomb sooner rather than later. She's trying to fake out that she's going to the site. There was a smoke for some extra security to block out some that waterfall angle, but she doesn't really know their positioning too well. She's kind of watching all over the place, although she does finally get the read after that door's trigger that this is going to be a main hit, and she just has to kill one more person for a 4K to clutch that round. Holy moly, Carrots. Oh my goodness, this is what I mean. Everybody stepping up when they need to step up. Wow.
Oh my goodness. Yep, the doubloons are in the bag. That's it. Oh my goodness. What a beautiful. You guys know that one meme when the guy's like, that's me. That's me. Like, oh my gosh, I was holding my breath there. All with the Sheriff, by the way. She had a bulldog in hand, but she willingly chose the Sheriff because she's just that girl. She's that guy. Like, come on now. And I know Coach Dusty is so proud of Carrots for this round. And wow, we're just doing great back to back to back. And I know that we have this in the back. Coach Dusty is feeling very confident in our Terps. And although it may not be over yet, we still have to make sure that we lock in those last few rounds to finally take home this series. I mean,
yeah, and I would say this is a timeout right now for HCC. If I had to take a gander, but this is how the Terps are feeling right now. This is how we're feeling. That's the energy they're carrying. They are just charging through, and it's not like these rounds are super decisive. It's not like they're, you know, killing like everybody right off the bat. It's these individual players are shining through at different moments, and that is what is so beautiful about this team.
Yeah, they really like to play for each other rather than for themselves. They're always playing for the team. They're always, you know, strategizing like 3, 2, 1, go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to make sure that their util benefits one another, like, you know, rather than just for themselves. And it's a beautiful harmony that they have going on.
So starting out this round by pressuring this A site. They're neglecting Fog for the moment. They're defaulting kind of, although making a little bit noise on that A site kind of breaks the illusion there of a default. However, gonna double back and meet up around spawn. I guess they didn't really get the information that they were looking for on A site. They're gonna instead try their luck over on C, but they do have their duelist taken down. That's a lot of important like entering utility that's not going to be available to them to take the C side. Instead, they're going to have to rely on Trace and Davy Jones's utility here, because there is a whole lot of Vice shenanigans happening here on the C site that they've got to work through. They're going to trigger this wall the moment they step through it, and yeah, it's just Soap and Carrots left alone here on this site. And with Soap getting picked off, it's just Carrots. As soon as that wall dissipates, Trace is able to come help her out, and Carrots still looking to do more damage after finding a crazy 4K in the last round, and finds another pick for herself here, and she's able to get that bomb down, hopefully, but no, she does get killed with that Stinger that's looking in from Waterfall, and the Terps have not been able to plant this bomb yet. They're fighting for site control still, and their HP is dwindling. All that's left is Davy Jones, and she does get killed, and that is a tough round to lose coming off of an insane clutch like that. It's a Thrifty.
Yeah, like you said, it was a Thrifty. So now that that the Hawks were able to get their econ up, the Terps have to step it up, because now they're at an even playing field, 8-8, and both like pretty decent economies going on here. Savani's gonna go ahead and get that judge pick again, and hopefully she doesn't get picked off early on into the round, because Savani is a pretty pivotal role into getting onto site, especially on attack side. But you would think that maybe the Terps would know that how this Vice starts to set up, which they do. They do bait out that wall, but it just was an unfortunate round for them to just get ran down on the C site, as they're they're starting to go ahead and push onto A. Carrots gets that pick on that Omen. They were a little bit pushed back onto Tree. Oh my goodness, there's so much happening at this moment.
Yeah, trades going back and forth. Ultimately, the Terps do end up numbers down without control of the spike, as well as Soap is left alone as the lurk on this B site. And with that Roomba alerting there, it's going to be really difficult for her. Not impossible, though. I've seen Soap pull off these things before. But she's got to fight to get that spike, and she's got to take space really strategically and make sure she's not exposing herself to too many angles at one time.
Yeah, they're staring down Breakable the way that, this Raze knows that she called back that bot, but I'm so scared. Little Sheena Raze is right there, but unfortunately gets picked off by that Raze, with the Raze getting 3 kills that round. Pretty good round for that Raze, but pretty unfortunate for the Terps.
Yeah, and here we are again, looking kind of reminiscent of Ascent. It's back and forth. It's a round win here, round loss there. Relatively even scoreline. I would not be surprised if this were another overtime situation. Dare I say, a 7-round overtime situation. But yeah, not to speak that into existence or anything, obviously. Ultimate status, on the other hand of things, 2 apiece, both of which are pretty important ultimates, especially when you look at Davy Jones and how she's been able to use that breach ultimate in the previous rounds.
I mean, they're starting to go in through his C site. Again, Vice is holding down that site. Pretty, expected setup here. Savani knows that. And, trying to bait out that wall, and does it successfully, and also baits out that blind. So, Vice knows that there's some Terps here, but we still have one Terp starting to lurk up into A, but the Hawks haven't given up their guard just yet. We're still waiting for more, noise to be made, for more contact to be made. Savani's going to get ready to throw in that boombot and go ahead and jump onto site with this Stinger here, despite there being that Vice just holding down that entryway for them.
Yeah, just on the brink of a full-scale B hit. The Terps are just waiting till the time is right. They're going to wait for some of that utility to burn up, then they decide that now they're going to head on to this C site. Despite the Vice utility, they're going to walk through it, and it's good timing because HCC has flooded away from this C site at all. They're going to be able to get this bomb down, but Savani's still fighting here and peeks out and does get killed, but there's 2 people there who she can now calm to the rest of her team to watch out. And Davy Jones is going to do just that, throwing a flash their way and backing up with the rest of her team to fight for this positioning outside of Waterfall. And HCC is on this bomb. The Terps have to fight for it with Trace getting picked off. So does Davy Jones. So does Soap. And that is going to be 2 rounds in a row that HCC is able to sweep.
Somebody get me some sunglasses. That was just a bunch of blinds just back to back to back. And their Yoru on HCC side did clutch up with those like last 3 kills. And, you know, we did end up losing the round, but my goodness. I underestimated how many blinds we had as a whole. Like for this match, we have the Yoru blinds going on, the Breach, we have the Vise. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, now that you mention it, we do have a lot of blinds each, and I think we're in a timeout. I think this is going to be a Terps timeout, and I do really like the timing here because HCC is at 10 round wins, so you want to, you know, not really find yourself in the position that you did on Ascent where you have to force yourself into an overtime situation. So I do like the pause here. I do like the breath. Tension's really high in the studio because I know the Terps would love to close this out in 3, but it's not going to be so easy because they're down right now.
I mean, if you look at it in the Hawks' perspective, they're also technically down 2 as well. So either way, you know, all the Terps need is just either just this one map or, you know, another map after that. But either way, Coach Dusty does seem a little stressed here. These are high stakes, but this isn't anything, you know, out of the ordinary that the Terps can't beat. You know, I mean, Carrots is up there 16 kills already, and, you know, the Rays being 20 on the Hawk side, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, we all have our ultimates here on the Terp side, and this can be a well-utilized round with these ultimates and with our economy so far.
How will the Terps really get themselves ahead here on the attack? Soap's going to take that first fight, but no one quite dies on either side of the map there. So everyone will escape with their lives. Just the Terps just trying to fish for some more information, leaving that bomb into spawn and just waiting for a push to come their way. Although Carrots does get killed. That is all of our smokes really not being able to be used anymore. That's going to make a post plant really difficult. So the Terps have got to just find a pick or 2 here if they want to make their lives a little easier once they get that bomb down.
I feel like C-Site is just such a difficult site for the Terps to, you know, hold down, because even though they, you know, execute getting in perfectly and bait out all that Vise utility, it's just having to hold it down is just very difficult for us. But Trace is over there on A site with the bomb, slowly making her way up, but this Yoru is just watching it like a hawk. So hopefully they don't make any contact there. But Savani is ready to just go ahead and go in here with Davy Jones, but the Hawks just don't seem to care. They're already backed up a little bit, and they're starting to follow where Trace is, but Trace gets picked off by that Yoru, unfortunately. Like I said, they were watching it like a hawk, so we're able to go ahead. So it gets that spike, and we're just going to have to continue with A-side. We only have 13 seconds. Either plant or get, you know, kills going down, but it doesn't look like that's going to be our option here. We might just have to save.
Oh gosh, and you just hate to see this be a save. I think as soon as Carrots got killed, that's when they kind of realized that no site is really going to be feasible without smokes on this map. So you kind of hate to see them kind of save on that map, putting HCC at 10 round wins. So they're getting close here, and the Terps have got to be kind of nearly perfect from here on out. They don't have really an ideal economy either. This is going to be most of the way a bye round for them. So important round 2 for the Terps to win, but they have 5 ultimates to use. So hopefully they're gonna get those cooking.
Yeah, I don't think a default was their best bet for that round, but, you know, again, here they are trying to get out through C. They know that the Vise is here, and now, you know, the Hawks' Omen is also here. They're going to try and bait out that utility, but they're going to use Trace's ult while they're at it, and use Savani's ult as well. I mean, HCC is already falling back. Savani's ready to go ahead and shoot and get as much damage as she can, but unfortunately doesn't get anybody, but it doesn't matter because the Terps are finally planting on site, and with that, all they have to do is just defend it and make sure that if they can't defend it, that the spike detonates. But Savani knows that Omen's here, and she was able to get a good amount of damage off of them. But here comes in that Raze's Roomba gets Savani, and here goes this Raze missing their ult on Savani, but Savani is just getting attacked with all this utility.
Man, I don't know what they have against Savani. Probably that she's really good, but Savani just got targeted with a whole lot of utility there. Trace also does get killed. It's gonna force Carrots to use her ultimate to get into a better position to flank, although she did end up canceling it, and now she's She's trying to creep up right behind these HCC players. It does so beautifully and is on the brink of being the MVP for this round. And she just did not wait. Maybe she did. Yes, she bought enough time. Oh my goodness, that was so incredibly close. Huge sigh of relief in the studio as you can see our mini watch party. Those are the supporters and coaches and friends of this team. But wow, Carrots.
Whoa. So close. That was like 0.37 seconds. Like, oh my gosh. If they like decided to stick, if that Omen didn't get off, that could have ended like much different. Like, wow. Having the spike, like, I forget how fast it makes the second half of the spike to like get detonated. Like, it's quick, it's very quick. But now the Terps are starting to default yet again, with Carrots starting to, you know, take on A by herself just a little bit to, you know, but she's still gonna help her team out by smoking out some, you know, areas for them. Looking like she's smoking out some C there. You know, the Rays on Hawk's side is also holding an angle. Hopefully, you know, they get caught by Soap's turret and, you know, decides to retreat back, but it's quiet. There's not much movement being made. There's, you know, we're strategizing to see how much we can, you know, push on and what's our next moves to go ahead and get onto site here.
And I really like that Carrots is not going site here. Instead, she's just trying to catch one of these HCC defenders off guard by being aggressive up into stairs. She does catch this Yoru who just fell down from heaven. That's a good pick to have under your belt for the rest of this round, as that's pretty much all of the remaining defenders taken out of the equation on this site. As they're able to get this bomb down, it looks like the Terps are opting to play more off-site than they have in the past, which I like. They're switching it up here. I don't know if HCC is going to be expecting this kind of different positioning, and they're just kind of giving HCC this, the site here, and with the exception of Trace, who's kind of left to fend for herself up into tree.
But this is a little bit of an expected bomb plant here. I mean, it's right in front of tree. You're going to expect somebody to be in tree, but little do they know, the Terps are everywhere. They're ready to get them in any other site, but it looks like HCC has no choice but to, you know, save their guns, and they most definitely can because they have the economy, especially, you know, after all of those rounds that they've been winning. But Karis is also trying to play exits here, so she's trying to catch some Hawks off guard as the round closes off.
All right, and the Terps one round win away from evening it out at 11 apiece. So they have really fought to keep this a game, and you know, they've had to have a couple of little like crazy clutches here and there. It hasn't been like the cleanest game, but man, they've still fought for it. And are they going to be expecting an operator though? I'm not sure.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't even see that Raze getting the operator, but then the Raze is playing on A site, so they're going to be peeking out A long there, and thankfully no Terp is there. We have Carrot still, you know, supplementing her team by just waiting for a lurk and for a flank and trying to catch a Hawk off guard while everybody's trying to go ahead and push in through C, and Soap is already detonating her ult to clear out some space and have, you know, force the Hawks to move back into CT just a little bit before they get stuck in her ult. And this is really helpful for the Terps because now they're able to get all that Vi's utility out of the way, and Savani is able to go ahead and push in farther to, you know, prevent any other, you know, Hawks just waiting to, you know, try and lurk back into sight. But, you know, Savani's face to face with this off right now, and the off misses, and Savani gets that amazing kill on that Raze here.
Huge pick, getting that operator down and still trying to fight to get more picks. She doesn't end up getting any more, but it just buys her team enough time to comfortably set up a post plant here. A breach ultimate invested for the Hawks. They're gonna quickly flood in right after that, although Trace holding her ground. They're able to find 2 picks, not quite the third. Gonna leave Carrots in a 1v2 with the bomb ticking down. She peeks out and finds 2 picks in a row. What a massive play from Carrots yet again.
Wow, let's freaking go, guys. Whoa, what a round there. And thank goodness that op got down, because we don't know what kind of, like, what, you know, what that Raze has to offer, especially when it comes to having it up. And now we're neck and neck, 11-11. Although we may not have any more ultimates, we were able to utilize it. And if we didn't utilize it last round, this could have been a different score here, and we really needed that. So we're gonna go ahead and default yet again. Carrots is gonna try and get as much, information on A over there, while we have Soap just protecting Bomb, and the rest of the Terps are going to go ahead and try out C it again. C seems to be working out, even though the Vise has been holding it down like crazy, but unfortunately, Savani gets picked off by that Vise and gets, Trace ends up trading it off to avenge Savani here. But now we have Trace having her Fade ult that she could most definitely utilize at any time. And the Terps are starting to, regroup just a little bit here. Our numbers are looking great. We're 4-3 at the moment. And, Davy Jones is going to go ahead and pick up that spike. And now that Carrots knows that, A site is a little bit clear, it's looking a little bit more safe, but she's a little hesitant, trying to jump spot because, there was an operator last time, so you never know where that op, if they ended up buying the op yet again. But we're starting to push onto site here, coming in through tree. Karis is throwing down those smokes to make sure that the team is protected, and we're going to go ahead and plant that bomb. Same spot we did the last 2 rounds.
Face your fear! Yeah, bomb is planted, but can they keep it ticking in the face of that Fade ultimate? Looks like there's going to be one defender to drop down, but Davy Jones has her eyes on that drop area, waiting for a peek to come through. Karis has a beautiful off angle to find a pick and drops down, not able to quite get the second off of drop there, although Trace does get a pick for herself though, and that only leaves the Omen, who was previously dropped, to forced to push up onto site and hide in their own smoke and try to defuse this bomb, but the Terps are going to flood in, and it will be Trace to find herself a 3rd kill that round to put the Terps at series point in the grand finals of the NECC. Oh my goodness. There's only 2 options right now. Win the whole series or head into overtime.
I'm hoping it's the first one. I mean, things are starting to look up, and I think we really needed that timeout from Coach Dusty there. It really helped us out in the long run here. And it's just one more round before we can take this home for all the doubloons tonight. All the doubloons. The buys are looking pretty good. Not too much on the Hawks side, so this can be used for their advantage, but clearly the Hawks are just going crazy at it. They're all pushing up through C. Karis is alone on A site, and so is Soap is basically also alone on B site. They're chasing down the Terps. I feel like I'm in a horror movie right now. I'm a little terrified.
Oh, but Soap is expecting it, although she does get killed. She does a lot of damage to that Raze, so that's at least any silver lining there. And the Terps just able to pull off a goose chase and end up on this A site and are waiting in the smoke, although they're not going to catch anybody though. No one is positioned their way. It's just an unlucky call for the Terps as all 5 Hawks are on this flank. Davy Jones is about to get a read on that as they're trying to rush her into tree, and she's stunned, and there's so many pieces of utility coming her way. Tracy does get a pick though, things at a 3-4. The Terps need to keep this bomb ticking. Savani will get a share kill, but only 15 HP. It's going to be difficult. Leaves it a 1v1. And Trace closes out this series. And the Terps are your NECC division champions. Holy moly. Winning the series in 3 in style, and they had to fight for it. We went to 7 rounds of overtime on map number 1 if you guys missed it. And what a series. They definitely deserved this win.
Wow, this was an amazing game played out, and everybody's so tired, but we're just so glad that everything's done for, and just a bunch of smiles and cheers here in the studio for tonight.
Yes, well, we want to thank all of you for watching all season long, for the Terps GC team especially, but for all the other Valorant streams we've had so far this season. It's been a lot of fun this semester, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you guys a show match or some internals match later on. But what a good way to close out the Valorant competition here in Studio C. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we'll catch you guys soon for some more Valorant later.